then the Hurricanes scored to make it 4-2, and then they got an empty netter to make it 5-2, and you're like, okay, that was a massive blowout. But it was actually a pretty good contest back and forth that ends up with the Hurricanes going up 3-1.
So is it a wrap for the Capitals?
Listen, no. When we were in school, and I was a bigger Yankees fan back then, when the Yankees were up 3-0 on the Red Sox, and I was spouting my mouth off down at Sharky's or Jungle Jim's, I learned a lesson. It's never over until it's over.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you.
No.
I hear you, but
I've seen it.
These Capitals are not those Red Sox.
I've seen stuff, man. They got Alex Ovechkin. Red Sox had a whole cast of characters.
Exactly.
But
they just got old Ovi, and he's cool. But yeah, just call it, man. Have some confidence.
Not calling
You brought the flag, and now you're not going to have confidence.
That's right.
Come on, man.
I think that's part of being a fan too. I think that actually might be another topic for another time. You truly are a fan when you're not willing to call it. When you don't have the investment, when you don't have the interest, when you don't have the garden flag, you're like, yeah, ball game, done, 3-1. I got no pain. If they come back, I got no pain in this.
I don't know, man. Those Knicks fans last night seemed like they were calling it on and on and on and on. I don't think the Knicks fans have ever lacked confidence in calling it.
And then there's that from the playoffs last night. You and I talked about the fact that you said Game 3. There'd never been a must-win Game 3 as much as there had been a must-win Game 3 for the Knicks. So they blow Game 3. And last night, lo and behold, they knock off the Celtics, and they're up 3-1.
They tried to blow it last night. So the Knicks have come up with a new strategy, and the strategy is we're going to let the team get up by plus 15 points late into the third quarter, and then we're going to start playing them. It's the old rope-a-dope strategy, like Muhammad Ali. We're going to let them punch themselves out, shoot as many threes as possible, and then once they get tired, we'll start to pounce then. That's the strategy I figured out. That's what old Tom Tibbs is doing. It's a newfangled strategy in the basketball arena. So, yeah, they were down by 17 at one point before they mounted their comeback. But the biggest story from that is that Jason Tatum seems like he's had a season-ending injury. We don't know whether it's an ankle, Achilles, something along those lines, and that's a shame because he was playing well last night. But oh well, the series will move on. Now I will say, man, the Knicks alumni have fun. It looks like it's a fun group to be a part of. Being a Knicks alumni, you had Pat, you had Amari Stoudemire, Starberry has a big star tattooed on his head. Terrell Sprewell's over there. Allen Houston was in the building, man. Some places look like it's fun to watch basketball, and the Garden proved it last night.
I will say this. I'll never forget there was a scene when the Knicks played the Rockets like in the 90s in the finals, and it was from behind one of the goals, but it was up at the top, and it was like a big shot of the entire arena. Latrell Sprewell had a dunk, and the place went crazy, and I was like, okay, this is what they mean, because I don't know how you feel about Madison Square Garden. I've always heard, it's the greatest place on earth to play. It's the Garden. You go. In our lifetime, I've never seen it be that way. And that was the one time. Like, the Madison Square Garden does not have and I've been to games there. I've been to WWF matches there.
Which, by the way, I saw a tweet the other day. It's been the WWE longer than it was ever WWF now.
Yeah,
at this point.
Yeah, it's
if you want to feel old.
I already do. But no, so the Knicks win last night. That was big. The Timberwolves in the late game knock off the Curryless Warriors, so it feels like the Timberwolves or the T-Wolves are heading to. It feels like we're about to get like a Knicks Timberwolves final, which I think excites only people in Minnesota and New York.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. I think that might be exciting. There's some characters that could be.
Well,
really
there is
fun
some characters. Well, you say that again. We said this Knicks team again is just. They're not bad. They're in terms of characters. Obviously, they're a good basketball team, but they're not bad characters. But they're not good characters. Like you not. There's. It's hard to watch them and be like, oh, I dislike that guy, or man, I like that guy.
Mikal Bridges looks like player A from whatever team you wanted to pick. He's just player A. He looks like random, generic player. He's good.
Oh,
plays great defense. Saw him hit a couple buckets last night, but yeah, he's very generic looking.
Yeah, we're looking up here on the TVs, and Jason Tatum, they're re-showing the injury, and he was all over, kind of, he was in a lot of pain on the court, whatever he did to himself, an MRI today for him, and we'll see more about that, how it plays out for him, and what the Celtics' chances are, but down 3-1. By the way, you mentioned the storyline from last night. Again, 82 Do you know what the number 82 was last night?
No.
Number of three-pointers taken
In that game?
in that game.
They were putting them up for sure.
34 for the Knicks, 48 for the Celtics, 82 three-pointers on that last night. Yesterday, kind of a nice, quiet day. Now, one other thing from the NBA last night. I am not a conspiracy theorist on things being rigged. But did Dallas get stuff rigged? Did the NBA look down at Dallas and be like, man, your franchise is a mess. Let's get you the number 1 pick so you can have something after the Luka trade.
Yeah, that is a wild theory. The idea that the NBA would be like, we need Dallas to be the biggest franchise. I would say absolutely. Our brains are mush as a sports fandom, and we want to pin a conspiracy on everything. But come on, man. When is the NBA going to look at it and say, yeah, we need to see our prize asset to Dallas? It's not how that's going to work.
Well, I want you to think about this because I was looking at Twitter last night.
Exactly.
Do you want Cooper Flagg missing the playoffs, stuck in Charlotte? Stuck in Utah? Dallas is a playoff. Now, all of a sudden, Nico Harrison's, I got a playoff team.
Big brain scheme.
All of a sudden, you're like, all right, I kind of see what you did there. We're going to plug Cooper in at the 3. You're going to have wily veteran Klay Thompson on one tendon out there still running around. Kyrie Irving's going to be the mentor doing all the weird stuff he does. You got Anthony Davis. You got Derek Lively in there. All of a sudden, I'm like Nico Harrison.
He told you.
He plotted this whole thing through.
He told you. You came out very strong against Nico.
Hey, it worked out. So Cooper Flagg will go to Dallas as the Mavericks get the number 1 pick. Spurs get the number 2 pick, by the way. If you want to delve into rebuilding a franchise and feeling bad for them, the Spurs have gotten the top pick, one of the top 5 picks, going back to when they got number 1 in Victor Wembanyama 2 years ago. They've gotten it the last 3 years, so they're being able to build a bit of a franchise. So that was your NBA stuff from last night. Also yesterday, clickbait. Look at me. I got an early. Look at me, everybody. I've got a very early top 20. Josh Pate, who I think most people around here used to love, was loved until sometime yesterday. Josh Pate puts out his post-spring top 20, Preston Thorne.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure which was more surprising, Clemson at number 1 or South Carolina at number 18. It feels like Josh Pate is just doing this to go, hey, guys, it's spring. Listen to me. I do a sports show.
Okay.
Look at me.
You think that's what he's doing?
Oh, yeah, man. I've been in that business. And what we do is different than what he does, I believe. I know he does a show. But, yeah. I mean, I don't know which is more like, that's interesting.
Well, from a local aspect, I'm not sure many people are really interested in South Carolina being 18th, but I think Clemson is the most interesting thing because they're number 1. So first off, we don't know how many people are looking at Josh Pate's top 20 after spring analysis, but since you are, the first place my eyes would go is to who's number 1, and number 1 is Clemson. And I think that is extremely interesting because there's a lot of data that could back up as to reasons why there's some steam gathering around this thing up the road. I don't know if people are paying attention, but there's some stuff happening up there.
Yeah, they've got and the reason I'm not really surprised by that is because of a couple mock drafts basically have 3 Clemson players going in about the top 8. Now, I wouldn't say that I buy into that, but Cade Klubnik, I think. Who was it? Who just which month?
So Todd McShay has 3 players going in the top 10. Peter Woods going at number 3, Cade McCullough going at number 5, and Blake Miller going at 8. That's 3 out of the top 10. Also in Todd McShay's mock draft, he has 6 players going in the first round. So 6 out of 32 are from Clemson. Does it mean anything? Yes, I think it does mean something. Does it mean that they all get picked in the first round? No. But the idea that they have this projection of talent is interesting.
Well, there's so many mock drafts that I forget who has what going where in what place. And I'll give you an example of that. Was it McShay who's got Nick Harbor at 11?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So it's list season. It's talking season. We'll get into this coming up in the next segment. The post-spring 2025 rankings from Josh Pate. Listen, I give him credit. I've met him before. Very good dude. He knows what he's doing. He put something out. We're going to discuss it. There's a team in front of South Carolina. There's actually 2 teams in front of South Carolina that I was pretty shocked at. This is clearly clickbait, but he has accomplished his goal, and we're going to discuss it. And I don't know what's more shocking, number 10, number 15, number 17, or number 18, or maybe number 1. We'll discuss all of that this morning. If you want to weigh in, 803-404-6100, how you can join us this morning. We're going to cut up, goof off. J.C. Sherbert set to join us this morning. To my knowledge, thankfully, Jen, I want to check with you. Preston, we don't have any more Chapel Bill updates. Is there nothing yesterday? Did we get through one day, one singular day without something going on?
There was a lot of whirlwind
Smoke,
stuff.
yeah,
There was
yeah.
a lot of smoke. Things were happening, but we won't have an update on our show today.
Okay.
But
I think that's reasonable.
there's some
Thank
things
you.
going
Just
down.
want to make sure I didn't watch as the
Didn't
world,
miss the
as the bill
subs, or-
turns, days of our bills.
That's probably what Jordan's thing is. As the bill turns, because older people you have to kind of roll them over and stuff. Yeah,
I like it. Listen, man, I'm not sure why we wouldn't talk about who some people proclaim as the GOAT coach, coaching in his first year in a major conference. This is a huge story.
I blame you, Paul Maneri. Normally we'd be talking about potential regionals, playoffs.
that's true.
Thank you, Ashley Chastain Woodard. We thank you. 803-404-6100. You're listening to the early game. Bill Gunner for Old Timey Meat Market, where I tell you what, the weekend's coming up. I know it's only Tuesday, but I think way ahead. It's time to get over to Old Timey Meat Market and pick up that next great steak. Maybe that Pirate's Gold marinated chicken. Maybe it's the Italian chicken skewers. I think I've just talked myself into that just with that sentence. Whatever you want, Old Timey Meat Market has it. Go visit one of their 3 locations and check out the absolute best cuts of meat with the absolute best prices. You can go to St. Andrews Road in Irmo, South Congaree, or, of course, the Lexington store. But you know what? What stands out about Old Timey Meat Market is the way they treat you, the customer. They built and created Old Timey Meat Market to be a non-traditional, non-grocery store type meat buying experience. And that's what stands out. They want to get to know you. They want to know your kids. They want to know your family. When you walk in, they want it to be just like it was back in yesteryear. So go visit Old Timey Meat Market today. Check out the steaks, the chicken, the pork chops. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
No major slowdowns to report this morning. No accidents at this time. Great news in that respect. Hopefully a little bit better than we had yesterday. Weather-wise, definitely going to be a little bit better. Not looking for any rain today until maybe after about 4 o'clock. Just some scattered showers in the forecast for later this afternoon and this evening. And just a chance for, but after that, we might have some evening storms tomorrow. Today's high 81, tomorrow 83. Then the rain chances should be out of here for a few days. We welcome that. We kind of need to dry out at this point. But right now it's overcast, a little bit muggy, and 69 on 107.5 The Game.
It's 6:20 on your Tuesday morning. Get up and get going. Hope you're doing well this morning. Preston Thorne, Jen Jensen, Bill Gunner, as we have got you plenty to discuss. J.C. Sherbert set to join us in an hour, but we are talking about clickbait. Get all fired up on a Tuesday morning. Josh Pate putting out his post-spring top 20, Preston Thorne. Post-spring 2025 rankings. He put it out on Twitter 20 hours ago and only did the top 20. Didn't go to top 25. Would have been a little bit too much work for him to go all the way to 25, so he stopped at 20.
He didn't have enough juice for 25?
He had maxed out. At 20. Probably. And I'm going to give you – so we're going to go – I'm not going to go through all top 20 because some of these, like, for example, Texas at 2. You'd be like, okay, yeah, right. Yeah, okay.
All right.
Sure. Okay, yeah, all right. Penn State at 3.
Boo!
Boo. All right.
They lost their defensive coordinator. What they going to do?
Good point. Maybe that's why I clipped. Okay, all right, we'll come back to that. All right, let's go through a couple of these here. You can boo or you can say, okay, I don't care. Pick your sound of reason. Because here's where I go with this, and this is why I say it's clickbait. Let's start with number 4. This called me. Alabama. Alabama at number 4.
Boo! They have
Why?
an unproven coach in the SEC. He's lost 4 games. He has not proven himself to be worthy of coaching in the SEC.
I was surprised by that. Number 9. Now, you're not looking at it, so you don't know this off the top of your head.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Post-spring 2025 rankings, top 20. Number 9, the one and only Florida Gators.
They
We,
have the second best quarterback in the SEC.
we on the show are known for making fun of Billy Napier and riding the Gators. So you're going because you're okay with that. Number 9 at the Gators.
I have no idea, but they have the second best quarterback in the SEC. They did not fold last year. Did think they did a great job. DJ Lagway came there and saved the season last year. We know they have talent.
Okay. All right. Number 10. Brent Venables and the Oklahoma Sooners.
Boo! What? Why? What's going to make
There
them
you go.
different from last year? They got a transfer quarterback in. I don't know if that's going to work. Wes Godwin is on staff now because, he got fired, so looking to pump up the defense. Don't see why that would have worked.
This is why I'm telling you it's clickbait. Number 11, Georgia.
Boo!
Georgia behind. This is where I'm going with this. Georgia is in his post-2025 spring rankings. He's got Georgia behind Florida and Oklahoma.
Kirby should never start less than 5.
Okay. Number 15, our new rival, our hated rival. We despise Illinois. Illinois at 15.
Well, I don't know. I'll say boo, because we don't like them. Obviously, we're against them as a squad. But I've seen some bubblings of Heather Dinich said that Illinois is going to be this year's Indiana.
Okay.
So there is a groundswell of attention being paid to that team. And maybe just that boost from that Citrus Bowl game last year, maybe that's the thing that sent them on their tracks. Maybe somewhere in a parallel universe in Illinois radio, the early game in Urbana or wherever that is. Maybe that's where they're saying, hey, you know, coming off that big South Carolina victory, we're poised to take over the Big 12 or whatever, Big 10.
So I got 2 boos. Florida gets a cheer. Illinois gets an okay. This is the one where I was like, all right, buddy, you jumped the shark. You've gone too far. Now, you might like this, so I'm interested to hear your take. Number 17, 1 spot ahead of South Carolina. Mr. Run the Ball, Brent Key and Georgia Tech.
Yeah, nah. Boo! Not because I don't like Brent Key. I think Brent Key's a great coach. He's a great offensive line. Run the ball. It's one of my favorite things that happened last year. But I'm not sure why we would think that.
That's what I'm going with this ranking. Clemson's at 1, Texas 2, Penn State 3, Alabama 4, LSU 5, Notre Dame 6, Oregon 7, Ohio State 8, and then, as I mentioned, 9, 10, Florida, Oklahoma. That's your top 10 from him. What stands out? So I read that to you, and it's irrelevant. It's fun to talk about. It's fun to boo. It's fun to discuss, and he gets what he wants. Josh Pate gets what he wants. We're discussing it on our radio show. But what is your take on when you because my take is like, all right, what are you doing here? And it has nothing to do with South Carolina at 18. That's fine. I'm perfectly good with the fact that there might be 17 other teams in front of South Carolina this year. I think there's legitimate questions. I'm not sure personally that South Carolina isn't being ranked too high in some of the other polls when you're talking about 9, 10, 11, 12, I think is about the lowest. Maybe 13 is the lowest I've seen them in some of these other way too early polls. And I'm not sure that that's not too high. There are serious questions on the defensive line. I wonder about the linebacking play. Can you replace Nick Eamon-Warry? How are we standing on the lawyer situation with the running back? I don't. So there are a lot of questions about South Carolina. So I really don't mind South Carolina at 18. You pointed out with Clemson, you want to go Clemson at 1? Okay, I wouldn't do that. That's no problem. But Josh Pate did. I'm not as bullish on Clemson as at 1, or I'm not going to be as upset about that as I am at being like Florida, Oklahoma, and in particular Georgia Tech ahead of South Carolina?
Yeah, I guess every roster, I'm not familiar with those rosters, and I'm sure every roster has a bunch of questions that need to be answered. But to me, I just see the groundswell of attention. Okay, these lists just help me pay attention to who should I be paying attention to. Now I need to go look and see, well, why is he in love with Oklahoma? What happened there that I need to pay attention to? Or
John Mateer coming in at quarterback is supposed to be remember, Jackson Arnold was a 5-star guy.
Mm-hmm.
And they, say what you want, they essentially ran Dylan Gabriel off to Oregon because Jackson Arnold was going to be the guy. And Jackson Arnold spent 1 year there. And we didn't even see Jackson. Did we see Jackson Arnold late in that game, I believe?
I believe so.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this makes me pay attention to some teams that maybe I would not have paid attention to, or makes me wonder why. It's just something to get the ideal meal going. But for me, the number one thing is Clemson being ranked number 1. And not that means that they are the best team in the nation, but that they have some of these ingredients coming back. They have a key quarterback coming back. They've hired a new defensive coordinator, which was clearly the weak link on that squad last year when he continued to play man-to-man defense against Lenora Sellers so that he could just run up and down the field. I think that immediately Thurden Sellers got him fired, I believe. So he's up out of here. They have 6 projected. Doesn't mean that they will be, but 6 projected first-round picks in mock Shea, I like that. In McShay's mock draft. So that means they obviously have a high level of talent. They have, whether we want to admit it or not, they have a veteran, pressure-packed coach who has coached in these games, something that your boy in Alabama has not done. So I just think it's very interesting. If he was to look at that, maybe looking at that top 5, well, who's the best coach? Who has the best defensive coordinator? Who has the most talent? And it seems like they win on a lot of those questions.
I will say this for Clemson, their schedule is really interesting. Obviously, we know they open on the opening Saturday, August 30th, against LSU. Massive game at Memorial Stadium. They do play in Atlanta at Georgia Tech. I would have initially said, all right, well, that's not a dangerous game, but now old Josh Pate's got Georgia Tech at 17. They've got North Carolina, whoever's coaching North Carolina. And I saw Pablo Torre yesterday, basically starting to double down the odds of Bill Belichick coaching at North Carolina this year are decreasing substantially by the day.
Pablo Torre is going to get all the credit for that, but Bill Gunner, you said this very early.
Yeah.
So the national media guy will hog up all the attention, and he will get all the love when this happens on June 1st, which the buyout drops from $10 million to $1 million. So something could happen. There goes your sneak Chapel Bill update. But you said it first. We'll see. June 1st coming.
Most likely there will be a Belichick who's going to be coaching.
But that's a good point.
There's that.
Very
too.
smart. Very true.
There's that too.
SMU is playing at Memorial Stadium this year, Saturday, October the 18th. I don't know what to make of Florida State. I have no idea of Florida State. Louisville, who I think is always sneaky good. See, I would have had Louisville in my top 20, even losing their quarterback.
Tyler Shaw.
I like Jeff Brom. I'm becoming a Jeff Brom fan. And then obviously the trip to Columbia. So a lot there for Clemson. We'll continue talking about that this morning. If you want to weigh in, 803-404-6100. We'll also get into some baseball talk. Gamecocks and Winthrop tonight. There's a streak that South Carolina's got to keep up. It's actually a good streak. This is a positive. We'll tell you about it. 803-404-6100 is the early game.
It's Jen with the Carolina Stone Craftsman just outside Columbia in Chapin. We had to do renovations in our house and needed some countertops to go with some cabinetry that we had gotten. And I'm telling you what, when we were told to go to Carolina Stone Craftsman, we did not hesitate, and so glad we did. Felt at home right away. Toured that showroom, which is absolutely incredible. They have an outdoor showroom equally as incredible to show you all kinds of things you can do in outdoor hardscapes. But as far as our interior needs were concerned, they helped us kind of determine what it was that we were looking for and what we needed to top off those bathrooms, literally. And when the installation was complete, everything was cleaned up. The entire process was fantastic. And I'm telling you, if you were in the market for countertops for your kitchen or bath, I do encourage you to reach out to Carolina Stone Craftsman. Tell them Jen Jensen sent you. Family owned and operated. They're Carolina Stone Craftsman just beyond Columbia and Chapin, and I promise beyond your expectations. Visit them online, carolinastonecraftsman.com. One accident to make you aware of this morning, I-20 westbound at Two Notch Road. Aside from that, though, fortunately, nothing else to report. Maybe a couple scattered showers later this afternoon after about 4 o'clock or so, just kind of into the evening hours. Again, scattered showers, 81 for the high, and maybe some afternoon or evening storms tomorrow. Tomorrow's high 83, and then that rain pattern should be getting out of here for a few days. So we'll welcome that for sure, but at least it's not a washout today. Right now, 69 on the early game.
Reminder, go to our website, 1075thegame.com, and register for the Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union Grand Slam giveaway. If a Gamecock batter hits a Grand Slam, you can win all the cash in the pot. Just a couple opportunities, at least five. Tonight, 3 games this weekend, 1 SEC tournament game, at least 5 for that opportunity. $525 in the pot. Go to 1075thegame.com. Again, it's the Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union Grand Slam giveaway. And that, I believe, Jen, you might know better, will wrap up our athletic season giveaways. We did special teams, I believe, this year. Special teams touchdown. Is that right?
Yeah. If special teams took it back for a touchdown, let me just hit the mic around here. That's going to be the next contest.
Yeah.
So that's how they won.
That we didn't do a basketball one, did we? We didn't have something for basketball.
No, I don't think we did.
We didn't have something for basketball. I don't know what we would have had for basketball. I don't know what you would have done. Like, I don't like a
Stinker Award.
We could have done some things.
Both of you are just giggling. So go to 1075thegame.com and register the Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union Grand Slam giveaway. If a Gamecock batter hits Grand Slam tonight, $525. I'm going to call it Grand Slam tonight.
Okay.
Grand Slam tonight.
You know, for the way the season has been in its totality, the fact that we've already given away money a couple times for Grand Slams, that's kind of crazy to think about. But
two or three.
We've
done it twice or 3 times?
I'm not sure.
It's definitely twice.
For sure twice, you're right. But that third, I'm thinking.
Speaking of, let's hear from Monty Lee yesterday. He was sent out to the mound to handle Jay Phillips and Elijah Campbell. Monty Lee yesterday. It's been a tough season. Preston, there's no other way around it. Let's hear what he had to say, and then we'll discuss that. Here's Monty Lee yesterday on the postgame show.
That has happened, this year. I know that that was incredibly tough for me personally, and for the coaches and for the players. Is you go back to Game 3 against Oklahoma, where we had a lead to win the series with 2 outs in the 9th inning, and they tie the ball game, and then we lose that game, and that was a pretty crushing defeat. When you feel like as a team, you had the series in hand. If things didn't go the way that they went, again, we were down to our last out with a lead, and they wound up tying the ball game, and it was unfortunate. We wound up losing that series, and when you have those kind of losses. And we've had a few of those where we've been in a position to win, some games, and we were unable to do it. It can be those are the hardest losses for coaches and for players. There's no question about that. I don't necessarily know if there's one thing that I could put my finger on. It's been a little bit of a combination of a number of factors. But ultimately we are where we are, and we're going to keep showing up every day and working as hard as we can, in trying to play our best baseball and prepare our guys to play the best baseball that they possibly can. And look, that comes from accountability from everybody. I mean, that comes from, the coaches. We're super accountable for what we're trying to get our guys to do. The players have to be accountable, and And that's what we're doing here. We're doing everything we can to prepare our guys to the best of our ability for the next game on the schedule.
What does accountability look like for coaches? I hear coaches say that often. We're being held. What is what I know what a player looks like when a player is being held accountable.
Okay.
You get benched,
Right.
or you go to the sideline, or you don't play. But what does it look like for coaches? Because I hear coaches say this very frequently. I'm going to hold myself accountable. What is that? Do you not get to coach anymore? Do you get to what happens? Because I know what happens when players are quote unquote held accountable. But Monty just said that the coaches are being held accountable. What does that mean?
Well, to me, what it means is being held accountable. We're going to give you a lot of money because you are not very good at your job to go away. Darren Horn was given a lot of money to go away.
Please hold me accountable.
That's being held accountable.
Let me be held accountable as much as possible.
Here's $5 billion in your bank account because we don't think you're very good at your job and we need to hire somebody else.
Oh, I went off on that last week.
I think that's very interesting when I just hear that phrase, or when we're being held accountable, because I think we all understand what it means when players are held accountable. You don't play, reduce playing time. Maybe you're not in the lineup. Maybe you get dropped in the batting order. Maybe you don't start on Friday night. There's a lot of ways we can hold players accountable. Coaches,
Maybe.
I'm not sure.
You know, I think actually could be kind of an interesting thought to have them be held accountable where, okay, coach, you're not coaching tonight. Like, what would happen?
Bobby Cox was the king of I wasn't in the mood to coach tonight, so I was going to get ejected.
Right?
There you go.
Sometimes that's not punishment. Sometimes those guys are like, I'll take this. That's a great question. Held accountable, it comes from the fan base well, I guess it comes from your athletic director, your boss as well. But again, in the day and age of what is occurring in college sport, you look across the landscape and you're like, well, if you're not good, you're about to make a lot. Will Muschamp. This is I can't remember the number because I did this so long ago. We all agree as a head coach, Will Muschamp is a complete failure, right?
Yes.
Okay, we all agree with that.
Twice.
Exactly. As a head coach, he's a complete failure. As a defense coordinator, maybe he's great, maybe he's not. I don't know. I'll let you decide that. You're the football player. Will Muschamp has been paid to go away, to stop coaching football programs handsomely to the tune of roughly over $30 million.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, $30 million. In his lifetime as a football coach, he's made over $100 million.
Mm-hmm.
But as a head football coach, the guy who led the program, the guy who was the most accountable, the guy who sat at the head desk where apparently the buck stops, $30 million were handed to him to stop.
The Bucks have not stopped. The Bucks are still flowing.
There is nobody who is living a better life than Will Muschamp right now. Like, he is paid handsomely. He's still getting to coach football. He's watching his son play. I forget where his son's at. I forget at Vanderbilt or wherever. And he has made a lot of money that to be held accountable. And being held accountable to him was, please stop.
Mm-hmm.
Our program's not better with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's just a very interesting proposition because I hear coaches say that all the time, and we understand exactly how players get held accountable. And when coaches say that they're being held accountable, we don't know what that looks like. We don't know what that looks like, them saying my bad in front of the team. Do they have to run laps? Do they have to run bases? I don't know what that means. And so I would be interested to see what that means when coaches say that.
803-404-6100. Todd weighs in, says the AD holds the coaches accountable. They don't perform. They move on.
Do they?
Yeah, they move to another job where they get more money.
We'll see.
Well, in Paul's case, being held accountable means he gets to go back to playing golf every day and hanging out. 803-404-6100 is the early game.
Preston here for Cato's Power Equipment. Cato's Power Equipment has been family-owned and serving the Midlands since 1983. And it's helped everyone from weekend warriors to professional landscapers. That's over 40 years. And third-generation owner Ben Cato provides top-notch service, great deals, and the mom-and-pop values that you love. And Ben is determined to raise the standard of sales, service, and retail. At Cato's, they are proud to offer a wide selection of new and pre-owned mowers, tractors, and more. So if you're ready to invest in something new, the Proud team is there to make the process easy, help you choose the right equipment, find financing options, and keep your gear running strong with expert service and parts. So swing by Cato's Power Equipment today or call them at 803-254-3711. That's Cato's Power Equipment at 803-254-3711. Preston here for Absolute Glass, the premier glass company of the Midlands, offering auto, home, and business glass repair. So if your glass is damaged, shattered, cracked, or broken, they can handle the job. If it's a cracked windshield, it's no problem. They'll come out to your location and replace it for you, usually for free, and they'll work directly with the insurance company to take away the headache. That's right. They'll come out to wherever you are, school, home, work. It does not matter. Absolute Glass will come out to you and take care of the job. Now, if you're at home and you're looking to increase the value of your home, you can do that with new windows or mirrors, and Absolute Glass will take care of that for you too. Windows, mirrors, shower enclosures. Say it all the time. If you can see through it, Ray and Marianne at Absolute Glass can do it. So check them out online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com. That's online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com.
.649 on your Tuesday morning, May the 13th. thank you again to the folks at Midlands Technical College and the folks with the esports high school showcase on Friday. I got the results here, Preston Thorne, Ryan Panther sending it in. And again, shout out to Dr. Greg Little of Midlands Technical College. Good night for him last night. Hurricanes win. So the Super Smash Bros. State placement, you'd be very proud. First place, Somerville High.
Let's go.
Second place, Lexington 1 Varsity. Third place, Greenville Technical Charter High. And fourth place, Ashley Ridge High School.
Boo. No love for the other side.
Rocket League state placements. This was again from the esports high school state championships that were held on Saturday over at Midlands Technical College on Beltline. Rocket League state placements. AC Flora, number 1, first place. Somerville High Team A, second place. Florence won Team A, third place, and Lexington won fourth place. So how about that? Somerville representing not just on the athletic field, but in the athletic EA.
Any sports, whatever sports, you bring it to us.
Yeah. So there you go. Congratulations to that. And again, a lot of fun last Friday out there. It's time for another segment of Preston's Questions. And you've got a big one this morning.
Well, yeah, Josh Pate has put out his post-spring rankings, the top 20 in the post-spring. And I just want to know what makes you more mad. South Carolina being ranked number 18 in this top 20 or Clemson being ranked number 1?
Mad's not the word I would use. Confused. Confused, Preston. I would go with confused. How do you have Oklahoma ahead of South Carolina? How do you have Georgia Tech ahead of South Carolina? I'm not saying that South Carolina is it. They might very well be the 18th best team. I'll even throw Florida in there. Florida. Those are the three that really was like, really? So to answer your question, it would be the South Carolina at 18, I guess, because I don't know why those three teams I just mentioned, Florida, Oklahoma, and Georgia Tech, would be ahead of South Carolina. You want to put South Carolina at 18, that's fine. That's perfectly fine to me. I'll be in total agreement. Those three teams have no business being ahead of South Carolina, and quite frankly, even if you threw South Carolina out of the top 25, those three teams, Florida, Oklahoma, and Georgia Tech, have no business being in the top 25 whatsoever. So I'm going to go with South Carolina at 18 strictly because of teams in front of them.
Okay. What about, so if we go through all the teams in front of them, are they better than Georgia Tech?
In my opinion, yes.
Ole Miss.
I think those two, I don't know on Ole Miss. Too many questions. You lose Jackson Dart. You lost a lot of Quinshon Junkins. They lost a lot. Even some dude named Wells who didn't get drafted. I'm not sure on Ole Miss.
Okay.
I'm okay with Ole Miss being ahead of them.
Number 15, the kicker, Illinois.
No. Pound the table. No. I don't care that they beat us. They cheated. Cheaters.
That's been rectified.
They came over and they incited a riot on the sideline. They no.
Texas A&M.
I don't think so. I'm not buying into Texas A&M like I think some people are. I wouldn't. No. I don't agree on that one. I think they're close. I don't think Texas A&M is necessarily far better than South Carolina. I don't think South Carolina's far better than Texas A&M. I think they're equals.
Arizona State.
I haven't done my research on them. I don't know what their quarterback situation is. I know they lost to Scattaboo. So I would again say South Carolina, Arizona State would be even in my opinion.
And let's go last but not least, the U.
They're talented. They've won the transfer portal. They've brought in to go. J.C. Sherbert was talking about that last week. I think it was last week. But again, I can't say that the U is just far and away better. I get it. You know what we ought to do, and maybe this is homework for tonight since we're criticizing somebody else's top 25 and calling it clickbait. Maybe, and I might do this on Twitter later today. Put out my top 20, my post-spring top 20. I know as much as Josh Pate. He doesn't know anything more than we do. I feel like this is pure clickbait here.
And yours won't be?
I'm not as popular as Josh Pate.
That's the point of clickbait. You gotta get yourself on the road.
But you see my point. Like quite frankly, if you go through this list, the teams you just mentioned, 17 through 12, I don't think they're better than South Carolina. I don't know if South Carolina's better than them, but what I do really truly believe is that South Carolina's better than Oklahoma, and I think South Carolina's better than Florida. And again, I'll say South Carolina's better than Georgia Tech. Those are the three. That's why I'll say South Carolina at 18 is more, if you want to use the word Madden, infuriating than Clemson at 1. You want to go Clemson at 1? Fine. Okay, because we talked about it. There is talent on that team. There's a reason they didn't have the NFL draft that they typically have because a lot of their players are younger, talented players. I like their wide receivers. But to get to your point, to me, no, Georgia Tech, Oklahoma, and Florida in the top 10 is mind-numbing to me.
Yeah, I think it's when you look at Josh Pate, what is he going to base the rankings on? Is he basing them on the coaches? Or is he basing them on their talent, 5 stars, recruiting?
Also, Josh Pate, by the way, was supposed to be our guy.
He's South Carolina's guy?
Supposed to be our guy.
Maybe that's why he has him at 18.
He's supposed to be our guy. He's not supposed to be a Clemson guy.
Well,
he's supposed to be our guy. He's supposed to be one of our hype men.
Maybe that's why he has him at 18.
Did we anger him?
Maybe. I don't know. Is 18 bad? I don't know where we're supposed to be at.
I'd rather be in the top 20 than not be in the top 20. I'd rather be in the top 20 than not in the top 20. But again, if I had to do a ranking right now, I do think this is a legitimate question as we sit here, and maybe we carry this into JC. Who would you have as number one in a post-spring top 25?
I think that's a great question, but my question even more so is, why would you have who you have at number one? Is it because of the coach? Is it because of the quarterback? Is it because of the recruiting?
It's those two. Okay. In some combination.
Okay.
Coach and quarterback. So I do understand why he's got it.
We should be number one then.
Drink your coffee. Grab a hug. Let's all settle down and do hour number 2.
It is Jen for CHW Cabinetry in Lexington. The demolition that we did in the kitchen sure went into that, and it wasn't terribly fun to start with. But once we got into CHW, they were so helpful figuring things out. Once we settled down, got the layout figured out, we got the photorealistic rendering, and that picture was of our finished kitchen before the kitchen was even finished. And we actually even took a couple of their ideas of as far as some lighting and stuff like that. So actually it ended up being extra helpful. But, you don't have to just totally redo a kitchen to utilize the services of CHW Cabinetry. Maybe in your pantry you decided, we just want to put some drawers in there and make things better. They can certainly help you with that. Want to get rid of some of those wire hanging racks in their closet? They can certainly help with that as well. If you have a home office space you're wanting to create, you need to reach out to CHW Cabinetry and visit them online, chwcabinetry.com, or call them at 803-520-6837. Tell them Jen sent you. CHW Cabinetry, passion from inspiration to installation. I-20 westbound at Two Notch Road, an accident there. Also, let's see, we're looking at 321 near Pine Ridge Drive. So caution in those areas if you would. Hopefully it'll be a better commute this morning. Forecast is better for sure. Scattered showers, not until maybe later this afternoon, 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. 81 will be our high today. Maybe some afternoon or evening storms tomorrow, 83. But then after that, it's going to warm up and the chances for rain goes down. 69 currently at 107.5 The Game.
.701 as we get you up and get you going here on your Tuesday morning, May the 13th. Bill Gunner, Preston Thorne, Jen Jensen will be joined in the next segment by J.C. Sherbert. Kind of a scheduling note, we have moved both Jamie Bradford and J.C. to 7:15 to 8 a.m., just backing them just one less segment. So if you flip on over the next several weeks looking to catch them to start the 7 o'clock hour, they will be joining us at 7:15 each and every week now moving forward. So JC will join us here coming up in just a few minutes. Playoff nights last night. NHL, I was fully invested because, well, I don't get to pick on Patrick Pratt that much anymore, and he's not around. So when I get my opportunities, I take it. And last night, Hurricanes 5-2 over Patrick's beloved Washington Capitals. A glorious night. Preston?
It's 3-1. Is it over?
It's not over. I think this is a legitimate fan thing. Now that I think about this, now that you brought this up, didn't think about this until an hour ago when you brought it up. I think when you're a casual fan, as I was, I would have said, yeah, ball game, Sharpie, send them on. Don't even need to play game 4 or 5. But I think as a fan that owns a Garden flag, now I got to guard my heart a little bit.
Okay.
Got to build a wall.
All right.
Got to be a little bit more cautious in calling things. Don't want to have a bad summer because the Capitals rallied from a 3-1 deficit. I think that's how it goes.
But the Capitals are the better team.
Like,
I mean, the Hurricanes are the better team.
I'm not sure the Hurricanes aren't
the best team.
I'm not sure they're not. The other series, Toronto and Florida, is pretty good. I have to admit, I have not watched enough of that series to do a team-to-team analysis. They will be back at it on the ice tonight. Or excuse me, Dallas and Winnipeg are tonight. Florida, Toronto are tomorrow night. But 8 o'clock tonight, Winnipeg and Dallas. Dallas up 2-1 in that series. Dallas is really, really good. Edmonton won last night. Edmonton is really good. They're up 3-1 right now. Florida, Toronto is 2-2. That's the close series. And again, they'll be Wednesday night. And the Hurricanes travel to Washington on Thursday night to hopefully close out that series. But yeah, the Canes are playing good. I feel good. I feel I might have belly flopped onto the bandwagon at just the right time.
That's what you're supposed to do. That's why the bandwagon has seats reserved. You're supposed to get on it when it's going good.
And this is a multi-year contract. I'm not like, I know Minnesota.
I'm a 1-year deal.
By the way, when did we come around on a team for you?
No, not yet. May 14th, coming up tomorrow.
Release? Okay.
Schedule release. We will look at the schedule and we will make adjustments accordingly.
Okay. All right. So NHL last night again. Edmonton wins 3-0 over Las Vegas. They're up 3-1 in that series. Carolina wins 5-2 in their game last night. They're up 3-1. NBA last night. I haven't. I feel like I'm missing. This is interesting in sports, especially for us because we do a radio show. I feel like I'm missing out, but I can't get into Boston and the Knicks, Celtics and Knicks. It feels like a great Northeastern teams. Celtics, I feel like, are a love them or hate them team. There's no gray area. Knicks are, for our lifetime, have really been irrelevant. More of a punching bag, if you will. They had the one run in the 90s there where they got to the finals and lost to the Houston Rockets. I think that was a Jordan sandwich year where between playing and then taking time off and then coming back. And I think the Knicks took advantage of that, but they didn't play particularly good in that. I think they got swept by Rudy Tomjanovich and the Rockets. I feel like I should be more into that series than I have been.
Yeah, it's been a tremendous series. The games have been very entertaining. The Knicks have come back in their 3 victories. They've come back from deficits of 15 points in the second half, 15-plus points in the second half. A lot of things are happening. Unfortunately, last night, Jason Tatum got hurt, and so it looks like he'll be done for the series. That's going to put a definite damper on what I thought was going to be the ending for Boston, because Boston – I was willing to say that Boston was clearly the better team. They had just blown 2 games. But now I don't know. Maybe Boston cannot finish. Maybe their style of playing basketball is not conducive to winning games. And all I think in a football mind is that Boston can't run the ball. They cannot control the clock. In a football game, when you have the lead, you need to be able to run the ball, kill the clock, finish the game. They can't do it because their whole strategy is shoot a 3. And they shoot from deep, and they shoot often, and when it's going good, it's great. When it's not going good, they blow the leads. And so last night's game was fantastic. Watching the game in the Garden, all of the former Knicks players around, Latrell Sprewell, Starberry, Patrick Ewing, Allen Houston was in the building. Then you have all the stars. Timothy Chalamet.
Allen Houston. I hadn't heard an Allen Houston.
He was there. He had a nice head of gray hair. Timothy Chalamet watching the game. All the Knicks fans, Ben Stiller, Spike Lee. It was really fun to watch that game in the Knicks. And, hey, Jalen Brunson, it's the guy. He closes games. He closes games in the fourth quarter. So he's really, 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 really fun to watch. So that's a good series. We'll see how that goes. The Knicks are poised to close that one out.
I forgot about it, and I apologize. This is my fault. I was driving yesterday when I got this information and forgot to put it on the rundown sheet. There was also something else very, very interesting yesterday, and I should have – I totally forgot. Yesterday, the NBA Draft Combine. Colin Murray Boyles. Did you see this yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
I think this is very, very interesting. And I'm now kind of angry at myself that I was driving. I was taking Austin somewhere, and he told me this, and I didn't retain it long enough. Colin Murray Boyles yesterday checks in at the NBA Draft Combine at 6'6.5" in barefoot. He also weighed 239 pounds. I'm really interested to see what that does to his draft stock, because I don't know how will he be viewed. And he's also not going to participate, from what I understand, in the 5-on-5 competitions at the NBA Combine. But you know this, NFL, NBA, it's all about measurements and height and underwear Olympics and everything. 6'6.5" for Murray Boyles is not a good thing yesterday, in my opinion. And I wonder if this opens the door. The problem is you can't come back to college and grow. He can come back and improve his game. He can come back and improve his shot. But because last night you had the NBA lottery. Dallas wins. They'll get Cooper Flagg. Yesterday I mentioned it when we were talking about the old Jonathan Giovanni draft, mock draft, and he had Dallas taking Colin Murray Boyles at 11. Well, they're going to get number 1 now. But I'm really interested to see this on Colin Murray Boyles and what this does to his draft stock.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if people are surprised or if they were just finding out how actually tall he is. We'll see. Well, I think this is curious to see if that changes up or down, because I'm not sure if he's grown or if they haven't been able to evaluate the tape. He's done all that he's done to this point at this height, so I wonder if it matters.
803-404-6100. I'll get you Jonathan Giovanni put out a new draft, mock draft. I'll get you that coming up here in just a second. But let's get out to the phone lines. Patrick wants to weigh in on some NBA. Patrick, how you doing this morning? What's on your mind?
I'm doing good, guys. Hey, you were just talking about the Knicks and all that year that they played the Rockets. That was actually they didn't get swept. That actually won 7 games, and that was also famous because of Game 5. They had to go in between the OJ car chase and the game on NBC.
That is correct. There's a whole documentary about that. ESPN 30 for 30, I believe it's called June 30th, in which they played at. It was that night, and also the New York Rangers were playing on the same day, and they had to break.
Really?
They had to break for. That was a good day. That was also the game 7, where John Starks, I believe, went 1 for 17 from the 3-point land. Yeah, that was the time for Knicks fan.
And I also want to mention something Jamie had mentioned last week about baseball fields in the SEC. Most of the baseball fields now in the SEC are that new field turf. If you look at actually a couple of examples, actually 3 teams have it. Georgia, Vanderbilt, and Tennessee, if you look at their fields, they also, with the infield, it's not real dirt, it's fake dirt. It's field turf dirt, as they call it. So Carolina's one of the few teams to actually still play on grass in the SEC. So I know when they were playing Kentucky, talking about the field, that was one. Just wanted to bring that up to you guys. Most SEC teams are on the field turf now.
All right. Thank you for that information. Appreciate that. 803-404-6100.
That film is called June 17th, by the way. June 17th, 1994, where it chronicles all the sporting events that were happening, which were overshadowed by the chase.
I mean, I hate to say it, like, this is 30 years ago. 30 years ago. And I remember the Knicks-Rockets series, but I thought it was a sweep, but I couldn't remember going 7. But 803-404-6100. Real quick, let me go back to this mock draft put out 8 hours ago. Jonathan Giovanni, ESPN.com. I'm going to give you over-under. Inside the top 10 or just outside the top 10, Colin Murray Boyles?
Outside.
Inside. Number 9, Toronto Raptors.
Nice.
Jonathan Giovanni has him. So I say that because he put the tweet out about Colin Murray Boyles yesterday afternoon. He put the article out last night. So what that tells me is what I was kind of interested to know. Does 6.5 affect Colin Murray Boyles' draft stock? Apparently it doesn't. It's even moved him up 2 spots from his most recent, from 11 to 9. So if you're having any hope that Colin Murray Boyles returns, you might want to let that one go.
Surprise! I don't know.
Yeah, just any hope.
I don't know where that was, but anybody that's going to the lottery, I don't think they're coming back.
Although it does say in his scouting report, though undersized for his position, his toughness, play finishing, passing, and defensive chops are attractive. Teams will be particularly eager to see how Murray Boyles shoots in workout settings, with the 3-point shot not yet a regular part of his arsenal, but a key swing skill in his development. There is plug-and-play appeal in the things he already does well. So just FYI on that from last night as it pertains to the NBA draft lottery. Again, Dallas Mavericks getting the number 1 pick, but Jonathan Giovanni with ESPN.com has put out his latest mock draft, and he did that post-draft lottery, and he's got Colin Murray Boyles going at number 9 to the Toronto Raptors. So, again, somebody might want to send a letter down there to the coaching staff and be like, I don't think he's coming back.
Mike can give that spot away.
803-404-6100. J.C. Sherbert set to join us as he does each and every Tuesday. He's up next. You're listening to The Early Game.
Preston here from Midlands Landscaping and Lawns. Paul Romenstein, proud owner of Midlands Landscaping and Lawns, has one question for you. Are you going to let the weeds win this summer? Of course not. You're going to call the Midlands Green Treatment Program, which helps feed your lawn and wipe out those weeds for good. The Midlands Green Treatment Program delivers professional fertilization that nourishes your lawn while eliminating those doggone weeds. They get your grass healthy and get the weeds gone. So don't waste your time or money on bad products. Call the pros. They'll treat you like a neighbor because they are. And Paul Romenstein lives and works right here with you. So take back your yard, be the lawn MVP, and win your block. Visit hateweeds.com right now. That's hateweeds.com or call 803-356-8080. That's 803-356-8080.
Industrial Drive near South Lake Drive, report of an accident there. Also 321 near Pine Ridge Drive, also a report of a tie-up. And your forecast, it's not going to be a washout like it was yesterday at all. We might see some scattered showers after about 4 o'clock this afternoon. 81 will be our high. There's a chance for some afternoon or evening storms tomorrow. 83 for your high, and then we round out the rest of the weekend as we just have partly cloudy conditions, not really any rain in the forecast, but we could get up to about 90. So a little warmer temperatures, but at least it'll be a little more dry. Right now, sitting at some cloudy skies, 69 on 107.5 The Game.
7:19 on your Tuesday morning commute. Hope you're doing well. As you heard Jen say, weather here in Columbia, much, much better today than yesterday when it was a complete washout. You had to have the good rain boots. I think our buddy Josh Yellman came in here and had I think I saw him with the good rain boots on yesterday to deal with the weather. Preston.
Yeah, it was pouring. It was a good day to just lay up. If you didn't have anywhere to go, it was a good day to not go there.
Do a lot of men wear rain boots? Or is that just a Josh fashion thing?
No, I don't think that's. Yeah, see, there's a. You can definitely take steps going towards the rain boots. That's an advanced fashion move, though.
Mm-hmm.
That's an advanced.
And he kind of, I think, pushes the limits a little bit.
Yeah.
I think he's a little on trend.
That's an advanced move.
JC Sherbert joining us. JC, rain boots, yes or no? Give us that again.
No.
I apologize. We didn't have you potted up there. Rain boots, yes or no?
No. That's a hard no. Now, snow boots, yeah.
Jen, is that fair for Chicago? Snow boots?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're tromping through all the snow and stuff like that. If it's 7 feet or 7 inches high, whatever, you don't need that in your shoes.
Yeah, they're waterproof anyway. So, but no, I don't wear them when they rain.
No.
When it rains.
803-404-6100. Just yes or no. I'll know what you're talking about. Rain boots, yes or no. JC, we've been talking this morning about Josh Pate. I get it. It's that time of the year. It's list season. It's put stuff out and get people discussing season. Brad Crawford's really good at this, and I love Brad, but he's good at putting stuff out like this. Josh Pate yesterday puts out a top 20. Are you more surprised? I'm not asking like angry or if you agree with him or whatever, but are you more surprised he had Clemson at 1 or South Carolina at 18?
Clemson at 1, but at the same time, I mean, I get it. Josh is a good friend of mine, and taking that. I mean, I obviously don't agree with everything anybody says, but Josh puts thought behind it. The biggest surprise on that list was Florida at 9 and Oklahoma at 10. I just don't see where that's possible with those schedules they're playing. And I'd like to know I would like to pick Josh's brain on that. But, I liked Alabama at 4 with Clemson being number 1. I mean, look, the way you have to do it now if you're going to be a part of list season – is, you really are like Mississippi State's going to be picked last by everybody, right? They have 60 new players. How in the world can you know how good or bad they're going to be? They may be great. They may be terrible. I mean, but it's 60. That's just a new roster. You don't even play that many, And so I think what people do is they just look at who's coming back. And then they have to go rank accordingly. And if you look at the quote unquote teams that are just taking the Gamecock and Tiger rivalry out of it, right? If you look at the teams that have a lot of players coming back, and then you also admit that although Clemson's schedule right now looks a little more challenging than last year's schedule looked a little more challenging at this time. So again, you never know. And do they have a quarterback coming back? Check, yes. What about defense? Well, their D-line has guys that, are probably going to be drafted pretty high in Parker and Woods, et cetera. Yes, they added a handful of guys in the portal, just kind of like Ohio State did last year. There's really not a lot of questions. There's questions at tight end and running back, maybe a little in the secondary, but so that's why it's that. I mean, if you look at Texas and look at what Texas lost, and then the fact that, Arch Manning, we think he's going to be good. It's an unknown. Penn State returns a lot of people, and that would probably be my number 1, but do we trust Penn State, No.
Wait, JC. It's not that we don't trust Penn State. Let's be very specific.
James,
there we go.
Yeah, I forgot. When I said Penn State, I knew Preston was going to chime.
There we go. Let's be specific.
Ohio State, Ohio State was sitting there scrambling to find defensive linemen after spring practice. So, I get it. There's red flags, and there's just not a lot of red flags at Clemson. So that's probably why they're number 1. That wouldn't have been my choice, but, I get it. And then South Carolina being 18th, that would probably be I don't, I don't know. To me, the lower the Gamecocks are ranked, the better. Because I just think that sometimes with SEC teams that have, a breakout year or whatever, and then they have high expectations for the next season, there's been a lot of face plants at Missouri's and Kentucky's and South Carolina's of the world, Tennessee even. So, the lower, to me, I don't care for nefarious reasons. But, 18 to me, behind some of the teams they're behind, was a little surprising. But, but as far as the most surprising, probably Clemson at 1. Because, nobody cares where you rank somebody 13th, 18th, 5th, whatever. But you say number 1, that's a statement. So I guess Clemson would be a little more surprising.
Yeah, to me, going back to what you just said, it wasn't Clemson at 1. It was Florida, Oklahoma, and I'll throw Georgia Tech in there being ahead of South Carolina. If you want to put South Carolina at 18, I totally understand why. I understand if people are moving closer, even outside the top 20, with having to replace the defensive line. We know that this is a line of scrimmage league, and quite frankly, I think you still look at Alabama, LSU. I don't know enough about what Mississippi's got and what they've really coming back with their defensive line. But I would say, what do you think? South Carolina's probably, of the 12 teams they play, their defensive line is going to be middle of the pack. Is that fair right now? South Carolina's?
I don't. I'd have to go look, but
off the top of my head, I would have LSU, Alabama, and Clemson.
Stewart, if you have Dylan Stewart, you're probably going to be pretty good on the D-line. I don't, there's a lot of angst and consternation about Monkel Goodwine and Gabriel Brownlow-Dendy, and the other edge is probably the biggest concern for me, just because Kyle Kennard, in addition to the sacks, the way he played the run was really good. And I think they've got pass rushers. I just, can they set the edge? That kind of thing, but when you got Dylan Stewart, you got other guys. They've recruited really well. I mean, you could end up lining up 2 5-stars and 2 high 4-stars. So and I know some of these guys, and that's not everything, right? And that's not always valid and correct, but it does say you got a chance. So I don't know. Middle of the pack. I'm maybe a little higher than that with me, but. I don't think Josh ranked South Carolina 18th based on any kind of deep evaluation of the South Carolina defensive line room.
Real quick, you bring that up. We got about 2 minutes left here in this particular segment. Desmond Umizulu was real quiet this spring. Good or bad?
I didn't think he was quiet. I thought he had a great spring game and played
I didn't feel like I heard a lot about him. That's why I say he was very quiet.
Well, practices are closed and things like that. But 2 things. I thought he had looked a lot different in the spring game. Looked more like the guy, and he was always going to be a developmental guy. And then, Sterling Lucas, when he was talking about him during his media availability, mentioned how far he'd come in the weight room, and that's been a big key for him. Get stronger, because he did not come from a high school program. I mean, they played him inside some. I mean, he really had some development to do. He's always a great prospect. But, I don't know if he'll start over there, if it'll be Brian Thomas Jr. or who. But, his emergence and then the return of JT Gear. I always want to call him Jacius. I can't say that. JT. That gives them 4. And then you have your pass rushers like George Wilson and Clowney that they brought in. Anthony Addison is a 7th guy over there. I mean, they're going to have guys to rotate in and out. So, I think Umizulu is probably, God willing, and the creek don't rise, gonna be a guy you hear from a whole lot more this season. And if he can win that starting job, that means something. They love Brian Thomas Jr. So if he can beat him out, that will tell you that guy, the light has really come on.
803-404-6100. We'll come back, get into a little bit more football discussion with J.C. Shurburtt, thebigspur.com. You're listening to The Early Game. Bill Gunner for Corley Pool Solutions, where it is officially pool season. I hope you're ready. I've been telling you about this coming up. I've been telling you to get your pool maintained. Well, if you haven't done it yet, you need to call today. Have that pool ready. I know for my kids, they get out of school starting next week, and I bet your kids are going to want to be jumping in your pool. If you've got one, have the professional, someone who knows how to get the algae out, how to keep it clean, and how to do it at an affordable price. Call Corley Pool Solutions today, 803-445-8109. They believe in providing the absolute highest quality swimming pool service at the most affordable price to you and your family. And it is more affordable for you to contact Corley Pool Solutions than for you to try and maintain it yourself. Find out. Take the Corley Pool Solutions Challenge. Give them a phone call today, 803-445-8109. Flat rate pricing, including all of the chemicals. Call, line up your maintenance, and get that pool ready for pool season.
Industrial Drive near South Lake Drive do have a report of an accident there. Also, Highway 178 near I-20 and 321 near Pine Ridge Drive at Bray Park Road. There's a report of an accident. Going to be cloudy today, and some showers could be popping in later in the afternoon, 4 or 5 o'clock this afternoon. Overall, have a high of 81. 83 for your high tomorrow with some clouds and maybe some evening storms. Then that rain pattern kind of gets out of here. and we would start warming up a little bit. By Friday, we could hit 91. But again, no rain in the forecast after that we can see. Right now, 69 with some clouds on 107.5 The Game.
$7:35 on your Tuesday morning. Hope you're doing well. Bill Gunner, Preston Thorne, Jen Jensen, and joined as always on a Tuesday morning by J.C. Sherbert. Make sure you go to thebigspur.com, especially this time of year where you can check out all the great articles, including one that J.C. has put out recently on Lenora Sellers. What specifically does Lenora Sellers need to improve or need to work on to improve? And J.C., in this article that you put out over the weekend, you mentioned speaking with a couple different sources that talked about what he's got to do. Give us a little breakdown of what you heard and what you were kind of thinking right now.
Well, it's interesting because almost, we had Coach G.A. Mangus on the show, and then the others just kind of picking things up when Todd McShay and Greg McElroy talked about Sellers. They all said the same thing. And I think sometimes – it's hard for us out here, to really get a good look at things like what they're talking about, which is his lower body. And you hear this all the time when people are talking quarterbacks, coaches are talking about getting your feet set. And GA said that's when kind of balls sail on Lenoris or one hop it out, the bad throws. And, it's almost a split-second thing you don't even really notice. But, I went back and watched some Cam Ward, and Cam Ward looks like he's out there just flipping it around. But if you watch, just in the split second before he delivers the ball, feet are set. So it's fundamentals. And that's not something that's uncommon with quarterbacks. But, I think because, we all see the highlights and we all watched him throw and run to a really good debut season – I thought it was kind of informative for the readers and members there at the Big Spur to kind of just say when people are talking about, well, he's got work to do, what exactly are they talking about? Now, I don't even know if it's something we're even going to notice without going back and slowing it down. Because like I said, it happens in a split second, especially when you're on the run. But, that's part of being, I think, a more consistent passer. It's just part of it. But, they're talking about him being the number one pick of the draft, winning the Heisman, all that stuff. But people also say there's some improvement that needs to be done. There is. So that article was meant to kind of point out exactly what, and then to go on to say it's probably something we're not even going to notice, because we're following the ball when we watch the games. But that is true when you watch, when he gets in trouble. It is not having the feet set, when you, and delivering the football. But it didn't happen all the time. It's just it's something young quarterbacks, you hear folks talk about quite a bit. And so that's the key, the lower body in the passing game with him. So the good news is it's a very narrow set of work, for Lenoris heading into next year.
Preston, I kind of relate him back to Corey Jenkins a little bit. Do you see similarities? Am I crazy on that one? The body type, kind of he's a better passer, don't get me wrong, but as I'm listening to JC talk about that, I think about Corey as a passer.
Yeah, no, he's a better passer. Lenoris is a more pure passer. I think, obviously, yes, they have some builds in that they can both run you over. They're both probably bigger than you and stronger than you playing quarterback, which is unfair. But yeah, Lenoris is a better passer, and Corey would tell you that. So when you see some of those things, I guess my question is, does he have to improve on those things for them to be successful this year, or is he improving for his NFL stock?
I would say it's a little bit of all of the above, because what's going to happen is teams are going to. I mean, there's no secrets now with him. So teams are going to try to stop him in whatever way. And I think some teams are going to look at Illinois and go, well, let's just drop it and, dare him to make accurate throws and, all that good stuff. Let's drop 8 in the coverage or whatever, let him hit windows. So, and that requires, even if you have a pass rush coming at you, God forbid they get pressure with 3 or 4, which does happen, you're going to have to, scramble out, get set, fire the ball. But like I said, it wasn't something that, when you look, it's just a very small adjustment thing. And I think, Preston, you could probably speak to this. When it comes to fundamentals in any sport, what you want to do when you're correcting fundamentals as a coach, I would think, and as a player, you want to just become second nature.
Right.
And when you watch Cam Ward, it is, no matter what pressure, his fundamentals didn't escape him. And so I think that's the key is just rep it, keep it, be disciplined, and then it just becomes second nature. And that's good. I mean, I do think a big key for the offense this season to be as good as they want to be is going to be being a little more lethal in the passing game. And that's not just on Lenoris, that's pass protection, receivers, all that good stuff.
Well,
that is something, that will help.
You hit on the big idea. I think you said it twice, maybe even 3 times, is the idea of pass protection, because I can think of Lenoris, and he's back there trying to get his feet right, but if he's running for his life, it's really difficult to think about your fundamentals when you have a 315-pound D lineman bearing down on you.
Yeah.
So I do think that's a really interesting conundrum that, yes, while he's trying to work on his fundamentals as a quarterback in the pocket, he has to have more time to be able to actually be comfortable in the pocket.
Yeah, I agree with you. And you also don't want to make him think too much about that when he's making a very natural, Houdini, Superman, whatever you want to call it, play. And I think one thing he really came along in kind of that last half of the season when they really got going was keeping his eyes downfield after he escaped pressure. I don't know that early on he always did that, or maybe, because sometimes you hear quarterback, they miss guys that are open because they're scrambling and they don't necessarily. But I thought he got infinitely better at doing that as the season went on.
803-404-6100, how you can weigh in on that. You kind of mentioned the pressure. The offensive line obviously is going to be pretty important. We got just a few minutes left, but let's kind of stay on the offensive side here. What have you heard any more on Rasul Faison, obviously hiring the lawyer last week, and what maybe is now a timeline people would expect to get for Faison and his lawyer in South Carolina to hear a decision?
I'll give you the same answer that I give everybody. If I could accurately predict when the NCAA will do anything, I wouldn't be talking to you. I'd be in Las Vegas, Biff Tannen style from Back to the Future with the Sports Almanac, about to make some money because I'd be really good at predicting things. But, look, I understand the concern, but people just have to let it play out. I mean, he's still practiced and he's still working out. It's not like he's away from football. Yes, let it play out. I mean, as long as it happens, I think everybody would feel better if it happened in a reasonable amount of time. But and I do think that, Shane Beamer did bring up a good point that, hey, there was a transfer portal period and you can go pick up another back because, I have a lot of faith in the other 3 backs. Don't get me wrong. But I think that you're carrying 3 into a season scholarship-wise on your roster is a little dangerous, right? Speaking of Las Vegas, that's rolling the dice a bit. Just because of the injuries and the nature of the position. I don't think we've had a season around here where at least one running back didn't miss time in a long time. So you need that depth. And, I think 5 is the ideal number. They were willing to bite the bullet and go with 4. 3 gets tricky. So that part of it, yeah, I mean, if you're planning on adding another player for depth purposes, you'd like to know sooner rather than later. But, who knows? I do know Darren Heitner, the lawyer that he retained, is very, very good. He's the best, really the best in the country at stuff like this. And then, the issue with the Rutgers player, Jet Elad, similar situation. A federal judge in New Jersey issued an injunction. He's eligible. And that guy actually started his clock at Division I in the NCAA, then left for JUCO and came back. So Rasul was more linear. So I would, if that guy's going to be eligible, I don't see any planet where he's not eligible for South Carolina this year, just based on precedent.
We'll come back, wrap up the hour with J.C. Sherbert. You're listening to the early game. Oh, I'm looking at the weather report. I'm seeing 90 on Friday. I'm seeing 88 on Saturday. I'm seeing 90 again next week. Is your air conditioner ready? If not, AAA Heating and Air is ready to help you. But you got to make the phone call. You got to take the initiative. Give them a phone call today, 803-677-1500. You just need to tell them Bill Gunner sent you, because AAA Heating and Air, with their guaranteed financing, no payments or interest for 12 months, and a 15-year parts and labor warranty, that is why they are the go-to name for your heating and air needs here in the Midlands. So give them a phone call, 803-677-1500. Did you know AAA Heating and Air is also offering incredible deals for repairs? If your system is broken and you're worried about the cost, they have got you covered. For more information, call them today. 12-month payment plans with no credit checks. 803-677-1500. Call AAA Heating and Air today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you. We're wrapping up hour number 2 with J.C. Shurburtt of thebigspur.com. Again, we mentioned his article there also on Lenora Sellers about what Lenora Sellers specifically needs to work on to improve going into 2025. You can go and check that out on thebigspur.com as well as so many different things. JC, I know you've got, I want to say a podcast, but you've got your morning cup of coffee that you put out, kind of a brief rundown of things on your mind each and every morning.
Yeah, it's football focused, about 30 minutes. Just finished it up on Tuesdays before I go on there with you guys. And then for the members on the Big Spur, I run it through, I got an AI program that writes synopsises of videos. And because there's a lot of people out there that would rather read than listen. And so as a member, that's a benefit you get on the Big Spur. And, yeah, it's a football focused. I don't really talk much about the other sports. I'll give like the schedule or scores and maybe briefly mention another sport, but it's usually, football Monday through Friday. Up on our podcast channel by 8 o'clock Eastern and on YouTube shortly thereafter. So check that out. I've gotten great feedback on it.
One thing I saw you talking a little bit about yesterday and tonight, South Carolina baseball. We'll have it for you right here on 107.5 The Game, 6:15 pregame, 6:30 first pitch. But obviously we had Jamie Bradford on yesterday. Your take right now on this baseball program and what's going on?
Well, Jamie's show yesterday, he said it best. I mean, it's just, you're looking at an off season of change. The basketball program obviously flipped its roster, with they still have some guys, Butler and Cam Scott, and then Miles Studi's coming back, and Michi Johnson's coming back again. But in basketball, that's more normal than baseball. Baseball, you're talking 20, 25 guys. I mean, so I wish I could sit here and tell you that I personally have a ton of faith that there's going to be this grand turnaround next season under the current staff. But, it sort of is what it is. I think anytime a program with this type of history that was just in a regional and super regional 2 previous years falls to those depths in the conference, it's a concern no matter what year a coach is in. So, we'll just see what happens. It certainly should be an eventful offseason one way or the other for the baseball program. And I feel bad for 3 people. I feel bad for Derek Scott and Stuart Lake, especially Derek because he had to call basketball season as well. Those guys, they're saints, man, for what they do. And I feel bad for the fans. I mean, as great as November in football was, that's one calendar month. And then it's been disappointment in men's sports at least ever since. Women's sports are elite at the University of South Carolina. But men's sports, and especially revenue sport like men's basketball, it's been sort of disappointing. So here's to better days. And, there's always that saying, there's always darkness before the dawn, I guess you could say that. I wish I could see the light at the end of the tunnel for baseball. But I'd be lying to everyone if I said there wasn't a massive amount of concerns for a number of reasons.
Preston, I think we've kind of addressed that. But tonight they've got a chance.
Well, first of all, 2 weeks ago, I gave Derek Scott roses on Thorns, Buds, and Roses because he was tremendous during that 24-3 drubbing that Florida gave us. He was exemplary professional. So my hat's off to him, just like you said, JC. What a pro. But yeah, I guess they have a chance, an opportunity tonight to go perfect in the midweek. And so if we want to hang on something, they've been able to beat all the quad 3 and 4 teams that they played this year.
And I think JC, I got to go back. I think it was John Whittle who said something to the effect of they haven't done that since like 2014 maybe, or it's been a long time since they've basically beaten all the lower ranked teams in the midweek. I have to go back. I think Whittle's got an incredible. He's always got a great article. I think it's Balls and Strikes that he puts out every Monday after a baseball series. I did have to laugh, JC, because in the Balls and Strikes article, there's a section that he initially set for postseason talk, and he admitted this week, like, hey, look, this is just part of the article. I've started, I got to keep with it. But John does an incredible job. JC, we always appreciate it, buddy.
Hey, thanks, guys. Good to be with you. I'll talk to you next week.
Appreciate you.
Take care. Take care. Balls and strikes. And yeah, he mentions that in there. Hour 3 on the way. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. It's the early game. Oh, it's almost summertime, and that means lots of home time for you and the family. They're going to be tracking in the dirt from the outside, grass from playing out when they're not at school. But you know what? You can just call Zerorez with their patented ZR water technology. Does not leave behind any sticky, soapy residue, no harsh chemicals. You can feel comfortable with the kids sitting on the carpet during the summer, playing video games or enjoying a nice little lunch. Whatever it is you need, Zerorez has got you taken care of, and right now they've got a great deal for you. Give them a phone call. 803-262-4020. Schedule an appointment. Mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game, and you get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for just $119. But you got to mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game. Again, that'll be 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for just $119. You can book online as well. ZerorezColumbia.com is the way to do that. Make sure you ask about Zerorez commercial cleaning also. Zerorez, spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean.
Clemson Road at Sparkleberry Lane. We have an accident there. Also, Gervais near Millwood. Highway 6 near I-20. A tie-up I-20 eastbound at Two Notch Road. I-26 eastbound at Lake Murray Boulevard. There, exit 102. But then the other end of I-20 eastbound at exit 129. So do be careful if you would out there. It's supposed to be dry today till later this afternoon, maybe around 4 or 5. Where we might see some scattered showers roll in, but for the most part, cloudy and 81 today. 83 tomorrow, maybe some afternoon or evening storms then. And following that, we should see drier conditions. And Thursday, 88. Friday could be up to 91. Saturday, looking at clouds and 90. Right now, it's cloudy and 70 on the early game.
Indy 500 coming up.
That would be correct. Practice starts today.
Oh, you
Noon
could
to
just.
2, 4 to 6. I got chills when I was hearing those sounds. I'm so excited.
She did get.
stand it.
You'd have to be on the live stream. You got to go to the live stream.
Giddy would be the word I would say.
She was overly happy, concerningly happy. But
The most amazing sounds.
when do you leave? Next Thursday?
Yeah, or Wednesday afternoon, something like that. Because we kind of tie in a little family time too, but
Yeah.
get a chance to go to visit Butler, and then spend some time at the track, some pit crew competitions, and all the fun. But those are the best sounds. So practice starts today, in case anybody's caring. And if you don't, thank you for at least indulging me for 30 seconds.
You did it. I know your time is coming up. I know you're fired up. It is it's a Jensen family tradition. Morse or Jensen?
Jensen.
Jensen.
Yeah.
Jensen family traditions.
Yeah.
I know that's important coming up for you. Yeah. All right.
We can do that since I was about, 7? So
Really?
I haven't gone, not every year, but, when I was a little kid, we went, I had an uncle who worked for Goodyear, so we'd go to the race, and took a little hiatus and then started being able to go back. So, but always watched it every Sunday of Memorial Day weekend. So pretty fun.
Cool. Yeah. Family traditions are great. One tradition that most people have, Preston, Jen, watching South Carolina baseball.
A tradition unlike any other.
Unfortunately, this year has not yielded the results. And yesterday on the postgame show, Monty Lee was asked, what do you do to keep the team positive in situations like this? Here's what he had to say.
Look, I can speak for the coaching staff and certainly can speak for myself. I'd show up here every single day and do everything that I can to prepare our position player group. That's my group. Try to prepare these guys to the best of my ability through scouting reports, through pregame preparation, along with the other coaches. And I try to motivate them every single day and do everything in our power to get them ready to play. And, look, this season has been an incredibly tough one, but I think you can see that, when we've had instances where we've had some really, really tough losses, our guys, will find a way to play solid baseball at times and find a way to score runs and give us a chance to win a ball game. But we've come up short even in those games, and it's been really, really tough. I know I was proud of our efforts in that 11-10 loss. That was a tough one. We tied the ball game there in the ninth inning and gave ourselves a chance to stay in the game, and then obviously lost it in the bottom of the ninth after a super tough loss. And we've had that happen a few times, but ultimately my job is to prepare our guys, and the coaches' jobs are to prepare the players to play their best baseball. And we competed as hard as we could and gave ourselves a chance in the one game, and then and came up short and then obviously lost game 3. But we just keep putting one foot in front of the other and keep working as hard as we can and try to stay as positive as we can with our players and prepare them. And, that's the obligation that we have as coaches, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
803-404-6100 if you want to text in. One texter says, blah, blah, blah. Another texter, Marshall, weighs in and says, I love the fact that Monty made it very clear that he does everything he can with his group every day.
Listen, man, if you listen, sometimes you got to listen closely, but that was interesting to me also, caller, texter.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That was very interesting.
You want to expound on that?
Yeah, sure. I will
Go ahead.
definitely expound on it. Monty Lee made it very clear that he coaches the position group.
Okay.
He didn't say anything about the pitchers. He didn't say anything about any other groups. He said, I do everything I can with my players. That is the equivalent to a player coming in and saying, hey, man, I don't know what y'all are doing over there, but I'm doing this here. If I can only go back to football, and if it was the football player saying, listen, us wide receivers, we're running routes. Now, whether we get the ball or not, I don't know. That was a very poignant thing. That was a clear indicator. Maybe he's just going on the old coaching adage about we can only control what we can control, and I only do. But when coaching staffs are together, they speak as a unit. That was a very clear speaking of there's a unit over here, there's a unit over here.
It's again, there's blame to go around for everybody. There's no doubt about that. And I kind of joked. I was talking about Jen's pastime and tradition of going to the Indy 500. Well, South Carolina's tradition is going to postseason play, which, Preston, we both know going to postseason play is not just good enough around here. It's advancing in postseason play. And my question continues to come up with this team. All right, where is the future of this program? You've never, many of you listening have never seen this program where it's at. John Whittle, as I mentioned, has got several little news, and he's got a great article on thebigspur.com that you can always go and read. And again, this is, and not in a good way, this is unprecedented times with how bad this team is. South Carolina needs one win to avoid something that hasn't happened before in SEC history.
I told you he was going to make history yesterday.
No team has lost 25 conference games in the league. Well, Missouri's also challenging for that as well, so it's good that it never happened, but two teams are now fighting for it. As John Whittle points out, a win or a rainout would be needed to avoid that black eye, and bad weather is not currently in the forecast.
LSU has something to play for. South Carolina having something to play for or something against are two different things. LSU is playing for seeding. They're playing for momentum. They're playing for national prominence. They're playing for rankings. South Carolina is playing to avoid being the worst team to being looked upon badly in history. One of those things is a stronger motivation than the other.
The Gamecocks also, as you have pointed out, likely to achieve unprecedented history, bad history. The Gamecocks, now 5-22 in conference, have never lost less than 8 games in league play, in conference play. They are obviously heading, if they have to sweep LSU to get to 8. That is the low water mark for them. They have 8 was the worst they've ever done. They're at 5 right now. Like I said, I think they hit rock bottom last Thursday night. You're digging through the rocks at this point. But now it would be the totality of the season. The entire resume of the program has hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
The program can't get worse.
Well, it can. Yeah, I don't think there's a bottom. We thought there wasn't a bottom. Again, Bill, last Sunday when they lost to Florida 24-2 or whatever that score was, we thought that was the bottom. We thought that was the bottom. We on this show said that. We didn't think that was the bottom. But anyway, I thought that was the bottom. The bottom kept going further. It's like when you're fishing. The line keeps going down and down. We need the longest line we can get because we are out in the deep ocean right now. Yes, it can get worse. It is very bad right now. It can get worse. What are going to be the changes that are going to be made for it to improve?
I was about to say, no, it can't get worse. And then I thought, actually, tonight, South Carolina does have a positive streak that they can continue with.
Yeah, and that could not...
I didn't think about it. As you said that, all of a sudden I was like, it literally, I don't see how it can get worse. I mean, granted, you can always say, well, they could lose every game in conference. They could go 0-30. But, yeah, but then I thought about it. I was like, oh, no, that's actually, they could have lost some midweek games.
Well, they have something that we're hanging on about them being perfect in the midweek. That is up for grabs tonight. If there's anything that they could salvage from the season, that could be it, and they still have to play tonight. Winthrop will be very, very motivated.
As John Whittle points out, South Carolina, now this is a bit of a caveat in here. It depends on how you want to view East Carolina. East Carolina's been a pretty solid baseball program, but the Gamecocks have not had a season where they did not lose to what he labels as a mid-major opponent since 2010. And he points out during the 2010 season, they did lose to East Carolina. You would have to go back to 2004. If South Carolina wins tonight, 2004 was the last time the Gamecocks had a perfect season against what John Whittle classifies as truly lesser competition. Because they did lose a midweek game. You can't say midweek games. They did lose a midweek game to North Carolina, but obviously that's not lesser competition. Of course, you also might point out right now, Winthrop, North Florida, Presbyterian, Citadel, Charleston Southern, not lesser competition for the Gamecocks.
Digging in the Gamecock history archives. You remember when Steve Spurrier came up to that podium, and they asked him about what was happening in the secondary, and he said, I don't know.
Get the secondary coach?
Yeah. There you go.
803-404-6100. Baseball tonight. Reminder, go to 1075thegame.com and register. The Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union.
I don't know. Ask Ron Cooper.
I was at that game, by the way, so I didn't see that until the next day. The Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union Grand Slam giveaway. Just go to 1075thegame.com and register. The pot currently $525. That's what you can win. I'm calling a Grand Slam tonight. We'll see if that happens. So make sure you're registered. Go to 1075thegame.com and register. Again, the Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union Grand Slam giveaway. We'll come back. We'll get back into this ranking. Josh Pate has succeeded yesterday. He put out a ranking. It's clickbait, and he's got us talking about it. That is the goal of what you're supposed to do at this point in the year, and he has succeeded. And we'll come back to those rankings. What are you more surprised with, the team at the top or the Gamecocks are? We'll ask you that. It's the early game. Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing. Whew, we are through that rain. That was some heavy rain the last 2 days. And let me ask you, how's your roof holding up? You got a leak? Well, you know what they say. If you've got a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek. And for nearly 30 years, they've been the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. They've been there for people here in Columbia, in Florence, and Myrtle Beach, Aiken, Augusta, Charleston, Greenville. They are there to roof the state. Whether it's your home or your business, Mid-State Roofing designs and installs bonded systems with a protective guarantee that'll keep your operation dry and running long into the future. And they do that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That doesn't necessarily mean they're out there roofing 24 hours a day, but what it means is they're there to take your phone call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and help you with a maintenance package. They understand that leaks don't understand what time it is, so they're there. You can give them a phone call whenever. You'll speak with an on-call technician or a Mid-State Roofing employee. 803-356-1919. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
Clemson Road at Sparkleberry Lane, an accident still being worked there, as well as Gervais near Millwood. Highway 6 near I-20. I-20 eastbound at Two Notch Road. I-26 eastbound at Lake Murray Boulevard there, exit 102. And I-26 eastbound at Highway 21, and that would be exit 129 on I-26 eastbound. That rain, it should be clear for part of the day, maybe about 4 or 5 this afternoon. Could see some scattered showers coming in. 81 is going to be our high. 83 tomorrow with some afternoon or evening showers again, possibly a storm. And then after that, we have cloudy conditions going through the weekend. Highs in the upper 80s or even touching 90 perhaps on Friday and Saturday. Right now, 70 on 107.5 The Game.
$8:17 on your Tuesday morning. Hope you're doing well. Thank you again to J.C. Sherbert for joining us in the previous hours. We talked a lot of football. And Preston, one of the things that we discussed is this Josh Pate top 20. Now, Josh Pate has become very popular. That's why we're discussing it. I have come to the conclusion I'm just going to put up my top 20 later today. Just, if we're going to do this, we may as well do it right. If we're going to make fun of Josh Pate, may as well open myself to being made fun of. But the question that you had is, I think, what surprised you more? What made you angrier? What do you feel is most disrespectful, specifically as a South Carolina fan? Clemson being at number 1 in Josh Pate's post-spring 2025 football rankings, or South Carolina being at 18?
The longer the title, the more is probably non-useful. 2025 post-spring rankings. So this is after the spring. This is after the transfer portal. This is Josh Pate's thing. I think it's more interesting to me that Clemson is ranked number 1. South Carolina being ranked 18th, cool. As you mentioned before, there are plenty of other teams who I think may or may not be better than, that are right within the same. I don't think there's much difference between South Carolina, Georgia Tech, Ole Miss, Illinois, Texas A&M, Florida. But when you clearly put yourself at number 1, that is an interesting spot. You're not amongst the crowd, and go into the reasons as to why you're number 1. So I'm assuming he has Clemson at number 1 because they have a proven coach, they have a proven quarterback, they have loads of talent that seems to be loads of draftable talent. They just replaced a suspect defensive coordinator with a veteran coordinator. So there's a lot of reasons to think that Clemson could or should be up there at number 1 for the nationwide. Obviously, for us, we don't want to see them there, but I do think that Clemson being up that high would probably gain a lot more eyeballs than us being at 18.
No, that I agree with. Yeah, anybody, you could put anybody there. Texas with Arch Manning. I mean, you could go. There's so many different teams you could go with it. One that I think would be the way I feel like you just phrased it is that's what will be talked about more than South Carolina being at 18. I was more surprised at South Carolina at 18, and maybe if you want to use the word upset, angry, I can't say that.
We're doing clickbait, so let's do it.
What do you mean?
Josh Pate is doing clickbait, so let's use clickbait words. Were you upset? Were you angry?
Oh, okay,
Were you mad?
Did it trigger me? Was I triggered?
Yeah, let's do it.
I was triggered that Florida and Oklahoma are 9 and 10.
There you go.
That's what got to me. Not number 1, not number 18. Also slightly triggered Georgia Tech was ahead of us. And again, I totally do understand South Carolina at 18. I'm perfectly good with that. South Carolina has some major questions that I think we're glossing over. I think we're glossing over the depth of that defensive line. You've seen them go out, and they've tried to recruit some guys to come in and hopefully help with depth. We talked about this last year. You were able to rotate 3 guys in there, 3 guys specifically, other guys as well, but 3 guys specifically in Sanders, Hemingway, and Huntley that were high-quality players.
More than high quality, were NFL guys. Huntley is obviously he's getting a free agent deal. Yeah. He'll get a shot. We'll see how that works out. But the other 2 dudes were draftable, and so we're not talking about just depth.
Right.
We're talking about dudes.
And you had the Bronco Nagurski Award winner on one side, and
That
you had
won't happen again.
a freshman. Well, you might. Who knows? Let's see what happens with Dylan Stewart. Obviously, a lot of talk about him. He's got to live up to that, right? Like, he's kind of like Lenore Sellers. Lenore Sellers is getting all the attention because he's the quarterback. Dylan Stewart, though, might actually end up being the better player of the two. Who knows? We'll see what happens. So you got a good piece there. So maybe Dylan Stewart ends up being our Nagurski Award winner. But the bottom line on this is, I don't know if you have, as you just pointed out, having 8 bodies is different than having 8 dudes.
100%. Yeah. Those guys got drafted, and they didn't get just drafted. They got drafted very high, right?
Yeah.
They got fourth round, fifth round guys. NFL guys, despite what everybody thinks, they don't just come around very often. You can even be a very good college player and not be an NFL guy. And so we may be making an assumption that you're just going to be able to roll in another 5-star or 4-star guy to be able to replace them. That being said, I do feel confident in the coaching staff in that they will be able to coach those guys up to the maximum levels of their ability.
What J.C. Sherbert said that is actually really, really interesting, because you said that South Carolina will have 2 5-stars on that defensive line this year. If that matters at all, if you're one of those recruiting ranking people, one of them has lived up to 5-star status, the other is not. Now, Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy, a former 5-star, a top 25 player in the country, did suffer an injury late in the Under Armour All-American game that maybe slowed his development at Texas A&M, and then things kind of didn't work out. But he was at one time considered one of the top 25 players in the country. As you just mentioned, and this is where Brad Lawing was so good, with guys like Melvin Ingram, who was not a defensive lineman, was a linebacker, and then they sent him down to Brad Lawing. They let you deal with this guy.
I got him.
Devin Taylor was a 3-star guy that South Carolina beat Virginia Tech out for. Byron Gerardo was not an NFL guy, but Byron Gerardo ended up being a high-quality defensive end. You go back to your period of defensive tackle. You go back to your period of defensive tackles and the guys that just rolled through there over the years, whether it was Cleveland Pickney or Langston Moore, you obviously.
Me. Let's put me aside. I was the only guy, even on that 2004 squad, I was the only person who did not play in the NFL. Mo Thompson, Daryl Shropshire, George Goss, those dudes played in the NFL. All the dudes before me, Langston Moore, Cleveland Pickney, Cecil Caldwell, Kalimba Edwards, Dennis Quinn, they all got shots.
Those are good names just to hear. Just let it wash over me again. Yeah,
those dudes were really, really good. And so, yes, will these guys get to that level? We'll see. But what we do know is for success in the SECs, you have to be strong up front, and we'll see if they're up to that challenge.
803-404-6100. So going back to this ranking, so that's where we're at. We've kind of gone through it. Clemson's at number 1, and we both kind of. I feel like if you want to go down that path, you can go down that path and say, okay, Clemson's number 1. I get it. It is interesting. I was trying to think. And I think this is where we are, and I think this is good. You tell me if this is good. I'm looking at this list, and I'm realizing this year it has the makings of even more parity than we've seen in the past. Clemson returns a coach who's won 2 national championships and returns a quarterback. Texas has Steve Sarkisian, but we're about to learn all about Arch Manning. Penn State returns James Franklin, not a coach with a national championship, but returns Drew Allar, who's a pretty good quarterback. Alabama, look, I still like Kalen DeBoer. Kalen, I'm kind of needing you to come through this year, but can you do it? But we don't know the quarterback situation. Conceivably, is LSU with Garrett Nussmeier and Brian Kelly? Would you go with them number 1? Because right now I've picked out 3 teams that I would put at number 1. Clemson, Penn State, and LSU. Because the coaches, because the quarterbacks. That's where I go. Number 6 on Josh Pate's list is Notre Dame. They're having to replace a quarterback. Number 7 is Oregon. They're replacing a quarterback. Number 8 is Ohio State. They're replacing a quarterback. I'm throwing out Florida and Oklahoma at 9 and 10. That's the part if you want me upset about something. 11 is Georgia. They're replacing a quarterback. 12 is Miami. Do we label them as replaced? How do we label them?
They're replacing their quarterback with Georgia's quarterback.
Okay. Yeah.
They're getting their guy.
There's your top 12. Arizona State 13, Texas A&M 14, Illinois 15, Ole Miss 16, Georgia Tech 17, South Carolina 18. Michigan, by the way, Michigan and Texas A&M, we've not even talked about them. 19 and 20
Yeah,
for
we
those
don't
last two
talk
teams.
about nobody but Noah's.
But you see, I guess as I do this, as I do this in my head, if I go with quarterback and coach, it comes down to either, because I'm throwing James Franklin out, it goes down to Clemson or LSU. And I think I like, well, I do, even though we made fun of him and we called him Sussmeyer. I go with Garrett Nussmeier and LSU. You could conceivably have 1 and 2 playing each other to start the season in Memorial Stadium.
Huge game. Huge game. If you go with that coach and quarterback ranking based on what you said, yeah, we could take Garrett Sussmeyer. We'll see how he shows up for the rest of the season. But then you go on the other side, and there's one coach who's 1-2 and another coach who's 1-0.
Exactly.
So even if you're looking at that, the Tigers versus the Tigers, Clemson versus LSU, quarterback, coach. You're going to give them, we'll do this Madden style. So you're giving LSU the advantage on quarterbacks?
Yes.
And then what about coaches?
Yeah, I do really like Brian Kelly, but what's happened at LSU's probably soured me on him a little bit. And if you're being honest, if you're being real, Dabo, for whatever you want to say about him, has won 2 national championships. I think you got to.
Don't make him run down his resume.
But
he will do it.
Dabo ain't going to tackle anybody. He's not going to throw a pass. As far as I know, he's not going to run the football in the game. I'll go with the player. The player is the tiebreaker in this. Give me the dude who's got to throw the passes, who's got to make the plays on the field.
That's interesting. That's interesting because I don't know if I go with the player being the tiebreaker when it gets into big games.
Okay. Listen, you give me Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence, I'll look like a good coach too. Steve Spurrier with Connor Shaw and Steven Garcia and Danny Werfel and Shane Matthews was a really good coach. With Lorenzo Nunez, very suspect. Chris Smelley, suspect coach.
That's very true.
803-404-6100, how you can weigh in. We'll come back. Colin Murray Boyles was at the NBA Draft Combine. I got 3 different draft projections here. Woo! They're all over the map, Preston Thorne. Let's discuss this a little bit. We'll tell you where Colin Murray Boyles right now is projected in a couple different mock drafts coming out of last night's NBA Draft Lottery. It is the early game. Bill Gunner for the Mortgage Guru, Jacob Crowder and First Palmetto Bank. Jacob is the mortgage guru in this market. I know that to be a fact. I used him several years ago, and I encourage you to use him. He is flawless. He knows exactly what he's doing. He is straight to the point, and most importantly, he's going to get you the interest rate and the product you need for that new mortgage. Whether you're looking to refinance or you're looking to purchase a home, the first thing you need to do is call Jacob Crowder, 803-719-1005. Now with First Palmetto Bank, Jacob Crowder is ready to help you find that right loan that fits your needs. You don't know what you can qualify for until you give them a phone call. And First Palmetto Bank, locally owned and operated right here in the Midlands. That means there's local decision makers for quick and precise underwriting. Give Jacob Crowder a call today, 803-719-1005. Again, that's 803-719-1005. Tell him Bill Gunner sent you.
Still working that earlier tie-up, she says. Clemson Road at Sparkleberry. Gervais near Millwood, also Highway 6 near I-20. I-20 eastbound at Two Notch Road, an accident there. Broad River Road between Kennerly and I-26. And then, let's see, I-26 eastbound at mile marker 102 and also at mile marker 129. So, no standing water. Hopefully everything will be getting cleared out in just a little bit as far as those accidents are concerned. Might see some scattered showers a little bit after 4 o'clock today, a high of 81. Afternoon storms tomorrow, 83, before we're kind of out of the rain business for a few days. Cloudy and 70 right now.
$8:35 here as we get you going through your Tuesday morning. Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. Thank you again to J.C. Sherbert for joining us in the 7 o'clock hour. We've talked a lot of Josh Pate's post-spring 2025 ranking. Look, as we've said, it's talking season for football, Preston. This ain't the only ranking that's going to come out that we're going to be like, huh, that looks interesting. There's going to be plenty more as we get you through the month of May, June, and July and get you to August camp. August camp, that's what it is. It's hot and steamy. Last night in the NBA, you had the playoffs. By the way, Jason Tatum, maybe I wasn't paying enough attention as it occurred. We've got these two TVs in here, and so they've really focused in on that injury and him on the court. I guess I just didn't realize like how injured he looked.
Oh, it's a wrap.
At the end, and I'm. You hope the best for him. I don't want to see him get hurt. Richard weighed in. I believe it was Richard who weighed in earlier and said, Preston, watch to see how much better Boston gets without Jason Tatum. Says ball movement will be exceptional, and everyone involved, they will flourish while he's out. And Brown is a leader. I still want the Knicks to win, though.
What a great take. What a great take. He is sort of a ball stopper when he gets the ball. He scored 42 points last night. It was hitting some incredible shots. There were also some head scratching shots, and the team does tend to stand and look around when he has the ball. Very astute take. I am interested to see how that goes.
Also, last night in the NBA, by the way, Timberwolves beat the Warriors as well in that game. Also, last night, though, you had the NBA draft lottery.
Conspiracy?
So they've changed the lottery a little bit here, right? They've changed it a little bit so that now the odds, it keeps teams from tanking is what they're saying. It keeps teams from just players not showing up in games at the very end.
Right, because
tanking.
Previously, if you just had the worst record, you get the first.
Well, you have much higher odds.
Percentage.
Much higher odds. Well, they've recalculated all that, and the Mavericks last night had just a 1.8% chance to win the lottery. Slightly better than if the three of us all played the actual Mega Millions or Powerball. But 1.8% chance to win the lottery. They jumped what was expected to be 10 spots and grabbed the top pick. Now, it's not like, they would, if you want to go conspiracy, it's not like Dallas is some franchise that's one of the elites. But it's also not it's not the Hornets.
Yes, but come on, man. What are we doing?
And I'll just say this again. For the Mavericks, Dallas is a big market. Would you rather have a new stud in Dallas or in Utah? Just saying there. Dallas jumps up. And also, one other thing, because you pointed this out a couple weeks ago, and I keep forgetting this because we get to championships and we do the seasons, but then we get to championships, we just shove championships away. I bet a lot of people can't even remember who played in the NCAA basketball tournament championship already, and that was just a little more than a month ago. But I go with this. Dallas was just in the NBA Finals.
Yes, they were.
They've still got Kyrie Irving.
And to the texter's point, maybe Nico was saying, hey, yes, we know that Luka is one of the best players and he's great. He's an offensive wizard. But maybe our team might be better without him.
This man is playing 3D chess while we're playing checkers, if that's what he's doing. Dallas gets the top pick. Cooper Flagg is going to be the guy. we will get to that later. What was interesting yesterday at the NBA Draft Combine, Colin Murray Boyles weighed in, took his height, 6'6.5". Preston, I saw that yesterday. Austin, we were driving down the road. Austin told it to me. I was like, oh, that's not good. That's not good at all because Colin Murray Boyles has to show that he can shoot the basketball if he's 6'6.5". Barefoot, by the way. Barefoot, for those of you wondering. And probably the thing where they do, I've never had to do it, where they rock you back on your heels. Mm-hmm. Is that how they? Mm-hmm. Okay. So anyway, barefoot, on heels, 6'6.5". That is going to, even though he's got a very good wingspan, I'm very curious to see what this does to his draft projections. So let's start. Yesterday, Jonathan Giovanni and Jeremy Woo put out their draft projections last night after everything had occurred. They had him going 9th to the Toronto Raptors. What's your thought on that real quick?
Top 10. Get paid, young man. Get paid, young fella.
Okay. NBADraft.net. It's a website I've gone to a good bit in the past. They are usually pretty good. I'm looking to see if we have a name associated with this. I do not see one, which stands out instantly. But they have Colin Murray Boyles going 20. This is updated. This was last night. 25th to Orlando.
Nice squad. Nice squad. Squad on the upkeep. Paolo Banchero. That's a nice squad to go to. Good town. No income tax.
Yeah, you would enjoy that a little bit more. USA Today has For the Win. They've got their draft projection out as well. So we've already got 9. We've already got 25, right? For the Win, I got to scroll back to it here, has him going 13th, lottery, 13th to the Atlanta Hawks. And their write-up is perhaps the most enticing collegiate player who was not a one-and-done prospect. Versatile forward, 16.8 points per game, 8.3 rebounds. He is ready to contribute in many ways to the next level. Murray Boyles is a bit undersized for someone who is virtually a non-threat from beyond the arc, but he can offer versatility as a defender to potentially make up for it.
Well, they've been telling us that he has a 3-ball. That's something that they've said. We haven't seen it. Maybe it was because the system he was playing in. Maybe it was because of various circumstances, but that was something that they said early in his career is that, you can't wait till he starts shooting the 3-ball. Well, he never did that here. That's something that he's going to have to develop in order for him to have a long and prosperous career in the NBA. And with the Atlanta Hawks, he will be playing on NBA TV. He will be the 10th seed of the playing game. He will be mediocre, and I hope that doesn't happen for him.
One thing about it, should the Raptors take him, if ESPN and Jonathan Giovanni and Jeremy Woo were correct, he would team up with another former Gamecock. I don't know the last time South Carolina had 2 Gamecocks on one NBA. Like, I'm not talking about in the league at the same time, but on one NBA roster, because he would be teaming up with A.J. Lawson.
Who sneakily hung around, had good
He's a good
seasons.
player. I've said it when A.J. Lawson doesn't have a moment here. He was on average teams, not awful, but not bad. Not as bad as we just saw. He was on average teams, and he doesn't have I think he missed a layup against Tennessee that would have put South Carolina up late in the game that could have won the game up there, I think. But A.J. Lawson just never did anything. He wasn't a bad player here. I think he averaged 13 points in his final season. He never did anything great, though, that stood out. But, then he goes to the league. He hung around with Dallas for a little while. Now he's up in Toronto, had a 32-point game late in the season.
Sneakily, every time I see his name pop up on the ticker, or if I see a highlight, I'm like, oh, yeah, there goes A.J. All right, cool.
It's been the last 10 years has been one of the best runs. Well, it's been the best run since the 70s of South Carolina players in the NBA. When you think about Sindarius, PJ got some run. You had Hassani Gravett get in there a little bit during the COVID year. Chris Silva got a cup of coffee a little bit. I know I'm leaving out one or two other guys that obviously G.G. Jackson, and you had Colin Murray Boyles. This is about as close as most of us who can remember has seen South Carolina basketball the Gamecocks, producing NBA players.
So, again, as you said, that assumes that they're saying, hey, coaching staff, go ahead and find somebody to fill that roster spot.
Again, I'll be interested because you just saw the wide range, 9, 13, 25. Does he feel like he has to be a lottery player, or does he feel like he can get non-lottery money for 1 year from the NIL to show that he can shoot the 3? Boy, that's a risky proposition.
Don't risk it, brother. Here's what I'm saying. He's not going to get any taller.
Exactly. As far as we know.
Well,
if he
that's
does,
true.
If he discovers it,
point.
I don't know how it works at 43.
That's a good point.
But if he discovers how to get taller, I would like to be the first one to know.
I like to fall on the measure of the football measurables. Sometimes you're just not going to get any better at the thing that you're missing. Take advantage of where you are now, and then you go improve yourself in the league. Don't risk it improving yourself playing with these jamokes in college. Go get paid, brother.
One other part to that we have to be serious about, you say that, how does he view the roster that Lamont Paris has put together? I can guarantee you this. No serious competitor wants to go through what he just went through last year with the losing.
Exactly.
Does he look at that roster and be like, okay, we can get back to the tournament, or does he look at that roster, look at his projection, look at the roster, look at the projection, be like, I'm going to go with the projection. I'll take, even if it's 25th. 803-404-6100. We'll come back, wrap everything up here. You're listening to the early game. Bill Gunner for the Egton Law Firm. If you've received one of those nasty notices from the IRS, you might be a little stressed out. It might be weighing you down, which shouldn't. You need to call the professionals, John Egton and his team. They can help you out. They have been doing this, helping families who have been involved in the IRS maze for a long time. But you got to take a little bit of initiative. You got to do it yourself. Give them a phone call and get a free consultation. 803-771-9800. Again, that's 803-771-9800. Give the Egton Law Firm a call today. You want to make sure you tell them Bill Gunner sent you, and let them help you navigate the IRS maze. Trust me, at the Egton Law Firm, they understand the challenges you're facing, and that's why they're ready to help you. That's why they're ready to help you have the peace of mind you deserve. And they're doing that, again, with proven local solutions. So take the first steps towards a worry-free life. Call the Egton Law Firm today. 803-771-9800. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you. Wrapping up Tuesday morning. Again, going to be nicer today than yesterday, so hope you can get out and get to the ballpark tonight, maybe. Go enjoy a hot dog. Would be actually, just FYI, just saying, Chance Miller, this might have been a time for him at South Carolina. Free concessions would have been a good idea here tonight.
That might have got some folks to the park. That might have got some folks there.
Free midweek concessions might have worked. Get out there, 6:15 pregame, 6:30 first pitch against Winthrop. Tonight, right here on 107.5 The Game, here in Columbia, 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. Monty Lee was sent out to deal with the crowd yesterday. Paul Mainieri looked around. It's like, Monty, you go on with Jay and Elijah. Here's Monty yesterday, Monty Lee, talking about needing stability in the baseball program.
I'll tell you guys, like, one of the things that we've got to, you say, like, what do we have to get back to? I think one of the things that has not been discussed or has not been talked about is there's been a tremendous amount of turnover here, and we need stability in this program. I mean, I look at our players, and some of the guys just on our pitching staff alone, that were recruited by Skylar Meade, and then Justin Parker coached them, and then Matt Williams coached them, and then Terry Rooney's coached them. I mean, you just think about, since 2021, there's been 4 pitching coaches in this program. When you look at from a recruiting standpoint and a consistency standpoint, day in, day out messaging, year in, year out, there's been a lot of turnover and a lot of change. On the hitting end, there's players in this program that were recruited by Trip Couch and by Chad Kaye and by myself. There's been a lot of change in the assistant coaches positions, here at South Carolina in the last 5 years. I think when you look back to, when Coach Tanner was here, Coach Tanner had 2 pitching coaches his whole tenure, and had 3, main recruiters. Had Jim Tolman for a long, long time, and my prayers are with Jim Tolman. I think we're all aware of what Coach Tolman is going through right now. But Jim Tolman was his right-hand man, and a huge reason why this program was so successful during Coach Tanner's tenure. I took over for Jim when he left for Liberty for 1 year, and then I became a head coach, and then Chad Holbrook came in and took over for me. So when you look at, again, if you want sustainable success in a program, there needs to be some consistency and sustainability within the coaching staff.
So that would suggest he's saying, hey, we got to keep this band together. You take it that way? Got to keep the band together. By the way, real quick, while you think about that, if you didn't hear, Jamie Bradford's got a tweet up. You can go to his X or Twitter account. They have started a GoFundMe. Jim Tolman, great guy, incredible guy. I got to know him when he was in town. Has been diagnosed with a brain tumor, and they actually have a GoFundMe for him to help fight that, to raise some funds. Go to @SportsMediaJB, and you can scroll down his page, and he's got it up. So thoughts and prayers, as Monty Lee said there, with the Tolman family and with Jim Tolman, who, again, was a great asset, is an incredible human being, but also was a great asset to Ray Tanner in the baseball program.
Let's look at this. We're going to take this conversation. We're going to carry this conversation into tomorrow, because I think when you say that there needs to be stability, yes, obviously the first thought is, well, let's keep the band together, but also, well, why hasn't there been stability? And there's different reasons why that stability has not been had. Is it because the teams weren't successful, or is it because the coaches have moved on? In the cases of Skylar Meade and Justin Parker, they've moved on to greener pastures and become head coaches at this point now. Justin Parker was an assistant coach. So that's the type of things that you want to happen. You want your coaches to be able to move on to go get head coaching jobs. The other type of thing is when coaches are fired. That's what you don't want. So I think we're having a big conversation, but we're having different conversations that need to be dissected.
For the record, Ray Tanner had 3 pitching coaches, Jerry Meyer, Mark Calvey, and then Skylar Meade. Mark Calvey also left for another job, but I believe it was Mark Calvey, and somebody can correct me on this, I believe it was Mark Calvey that was the pitching coach for the first national championship, because I believe I interviewed him the day they played Clemson, and he was like, boy, we just hope to get about 3 innings from Michael Roth, and we all know how that story played out. But that would be 3. But, again, all 3 left for head coaching jobs. And then Chad Holbrook, I can't exactly remember how his staff kind of played out over time. And then Mark Kingston, as you just heard, went on a run of pitching coaches, and now you're in your fourth pitching coach in 4 years, which is interesting. I didn't realize that until I just heard Monty Lee say that.
We could stabilize, but we can stabilize at the bottom.
Well, and that's we'll come back. We can put this and set this up. Put a pin in it, and tomorrow we will discuss: did South Carolina have their against, as I'm going to use the John Whittles term, lesser opponents? They didn't win every midweek game. They lost the North Carolina game, but against lesser opponents, quad 3 and quad 4, it would be the first time if they win tonight since 2004 that they've won every game against lesser opponents. Now we know how they've done against better teams, not good. But, and that led Preston to pointing out we haven't hit rock bottom yet, to which I all of a sudden realized that is true. We could be 10 and 12 against the lesser, or 12 and 10. It could be a lot worse, actually. Preston, you were right about that.
It could always be worse. Remember that. Kids, if you want to know how you stay positive, remember it could always be worse.
Also today we've discussed the Josh Pate rankings. More clickbait, but that's all right, Preston. We'll continue to scour the internet for good clickbait so we can get angry, get triggered, come in here and yell and scream.
Absolutely.
Been a lot of fun. Hope y'all have a great rest of the day. We'll be back tomorrow, get a lot more into it, and maybe we'll see if we can track down Patrick Perrette and see what he's thinking.
You need to give him a call. You need to track him down.
We'll get him on the phone today. We'll
so
try
you need
and do
to be
that.
harassing him.
It's a good point. It's a good point. Y'all have a great day. Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing, where for nearly 30 years they have been the leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. And it's that proven history that is your assurance that their professionals will provide proper advice, service, and results to the needs of your facility, and they're going to do it in a manner both safe and pleasing to you and your operation. Whether it's your home or your business, Mid-State Roofing is ready to help you because they design and install bonded systems with a protective guarantee that will keep your operation dry and running long into the future. And again, they do that 24